Chapter 734. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda was too overbearing. Although the nine-headed Demon King's body was huge and had unlimited divine power, it was still suppressed by the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. The nine-headed Demon King could not break free from the Dharma treasure. Chi. The nine-headed Demon King struggled as the ground cracked. Its 9 heads screamed in pain. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda hit the joint of its head and body. It was like a steel nail that nailed it into the ground. Su Fang heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Even if the divine jade annulus is not in my body, I can still use my life's divine power to suppress this big goblin." Swish. Swish. The severely injured purple Fengjun should have stepped forward to save the nine-headed Demon King. But after being stabbed by the starry daylight sword, the nine-headed Demon King spat out a large amount of snake venom and demonic aura. Then, it turned its body and escaped into the distance. The big goblin's body swept across the ground, leaving a deep crack in the ground. It was obvious that a big goblin of this level had terrifying destructive power. "Purple Wind Snake, where are you going?" Su Fang's eyes lit up as he stared at the escaping Purple Wind King. He conjured a beam of spiritual light with both hands and said, "Starry daylight sword, go!" A streak of white light that could not be seen by the naked eye pierced through the air swiftly and fiercely. Once the starry daylight sword was activated, it would lose its form and merge with the natural light. It was the best weapon to assassinate a strong enemy. Piak! Piak! The purple wind snake dragged its severely injured body and used the wind to sweep up the fallen leaf. As it swept through the ground and the forest, they were all shattered by its body. If this continued, it would be able to escape into the depths of the mountains in less than 2 breaths. After seeing the nine-headed Demon King being suppressed by the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, the big goblin lost its composure and panicked. It escaped in a precarious situation. Swish! A blinding white light appeared above the nine-headed Demon King. Poof! The white light turned into a sword light. Before the purple wind snake could react, the sword light pierced through the nine-headed Demon King's body. Hit a snake where it hurts. There were some sayings in the mortal world that made sense. The starry daylight sword suddenly returned to its original starry black appearance. At this moment, it was no longer 3 feet long. Instead, it was almost 3 feet long and almost 2 feet long. The sword pierced through the purple wind serpents, 7 inches deep. It pierced through the serpent's body, and a part of it stabbed into the ground. As expected, the starlight sword was like a nail that fell from the sky and firmly nailed the purple wind great snake to the ground. Ao ao! The huge snake cried out in pain. This time it was half dead. It let out a miserable cry. Then, in the blink of an eye, the head suddenly came back to its senses and saw the starry daylight sword. It opened its mouth and spat out a black flying sword. Dang! The flying sword suddenly struck the starry daylight sword. The purple wind monarch's strength was truly terrifying. Even in such a heavily injured state, he was still able to execute such a precise and unexpected attack. However, the starlight sword was a peerless magic treasure that had reached the pinnacle of the mortal world. When it was struck by the black flying sword, the sword aura only shook slightly, and the treasure sword still firmly stabbed the demon body into the ground. It was not affected at all. On the other hand, after the black flying sword stabbed the demon body, it was fiercely bounced back into the sky. Purple Wind Monarch, don't resist. This spiritual sword nailed you here. It only took an instant for it to kill you just now. In mid-air in front of the huge snake, Su Fang used the shuttling technique and took a step forward. The space shook, and the huge snake was so frightened that it almost spat out its demonic aura. "If you really want to die, I can easily take your head off right now." The Purple Wind Monarch trembled and was filled with fear. Who are you? Why do you want to invade my demon territory?" "I am not a cultivator from the immortal melody world. I am only here to suppress the big goblin. I am not here to kill you and make you work for me. That old undying tortoise was also suppressed by you." Su Fang sneered indifferently. "What do you think?" The snake monster trembled, and its demonic aura immediately dissipated. "If you can suppress it well, don't kill me. It is not easy for me, the purple shadow monster, to cultivate for 20,000 years. I can surpass the human flying immortal realm in one step and achieve the human dream of ascending to immortality. This is smart. It is easy to kill you, but it is not easy to keep you alive. I need you to assist me in the future to achieve great things." With the true demon blood plate as an imprint, Su Fang used the imprint on the spot and planted it into the purple wind monarch's head. He grabbed with his left hand, and the starry daylight sword that was nailing the purple shadow monster suddenly disappeared. He clapped with his right hand, and the door that the true demon blood plate spat out sucked the purple shadow monster in. This is an extremely powerful big goblin. Its strength is even stronger than the brute force demon king. Killing people is harder than saving people. I suddenly feel that the path of cultivation that Sun Er is pursuing is indeed extremely difficult. Everyone in this world can use their strength, status, and authority to kill people easily. However, if you want to save someone, not killing your own enemy but sparing the other party's life is probably harder than ascending to the heavens. With that in mind, he used wonder again and went back to the void. In a breath's time, he arrived above the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Immediately, he heard vibrations, ferocious cries, and wails. Standing on the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, he looked down and saw the nine-headed demon king that was suppressed by the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Its demonic aura had almost dissipated, but its 9 heads were still showing ferocious expressions. It still wanted to attack the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. The 9-headed demon king's strength was heaven-defying. If it was not suppressed, it could still fight with the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. However, now that it was suppressed, even if it had 9 lives, it would not be able to escape from the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda's suppression. 9-headed demon king, the purple wind monarch has been suppressed by me. It has obediently submitted to me. Now it is your turn. Go into the artifact space and think carefully. Don't have any more cunning thoughts. If you do, I will not let you go. Rise. Suddenly, he flashed to the side of the 3rd level of the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Thunder roared and slapped the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. In a flash, the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda suppressed the 9-headed demon king and disappeared into his palm. 9-headed demon king successful suppression. Su Fang flashed again and appeared beside the divine image jade wall. Below him was the control enchantment released by the Tao artifact. He could clearly see the undying tortoise that was suppressing the ground, as well as Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie who were suppressing the demons. Activating the Sky Demon Disintegration Seal, Su Fang separated a large amount of yang nascent souls and fused them with the Tao artifact. His majestic voice shook the earth. "Big Goblin, stop resisting. Your demon king has been suppressed by me. If you don't want to die, stop resisting." With that, he let you continue controlling the enchantment. Stepping into the interior, he realized that some of the normal big goblin had stopped resisting. However, some of the more powerful big goblin escaped from the ground and continued to attack the enchantment. "It seems like you don't know how powerful I am." Floating within the Tao artifact's enchantment, Su Fang scanned hundreds of big goblin. There were even more powerful big goblin that escaped from the undying tortoise. He immediately formed a seal. Combination of illusion and reality, divine image seal. His aura and divine aura suddenly fused perfectly with the Tao artifact's enchantment. Along with the power of the world, chains emerged from the void as though they had a life of their own. They shot towards the big goblin. How could the big goblin be a match for such shackles? They were already severely injured. Now, in less than 3 breaths, all the big goblin were bound by the chains. Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda. A gold and silver pagoda that was close to 300 meters tall stood above the undying tortoise. The top of the pagoda had fused with the Tao artifact's enchantment. Clang! The first door of the Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda opened and shot out a boundless aura. Su Fang formed another seal, and close to 1,000 big goblins were helplessly sucked into the first level of the pagoda. Master! Brother Fang! After a fierce battle, Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie were finally freed and came to Su Fang. While the Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda was absorbing the big goblin, the two of them also sent the big goblin they were suppressing into the Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda. Su Zhenhua suppressed more than 200 big goblin, and he was still a very powerful existence. Li Haojie, on the other hand, suppressed more than 800 big goblins. They were probably the core big goblin under the 9-headed Demon King. Half an hour later, the big goblin that escaped were all suppressed by the Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda. I suppressed nearly 2,000 big goblin of the 9-headed Demon King. Including the big goblin suppressed by brute force Demon King and Li Haojie, there are now more than 4,000 big goblin. That means I have 4,000 small commanders, and their overall strength is much stronger than the 900 small commanders I suppressed before. It's still not enough. Although there are more than 4,000 small commanders, my spiritual power, vital energy, and my support, and his strength has surpassed the feather transformation realm and reached the legendary realm of the leaders and old antiques. It's still not enough to deal with the immortals and the Xinyuan Empire. The Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda returned to his right palm. Su Fang heaved a sigh of relief. In this short period of time, many images flashed through his mind. Li Haojie said, "There are still more than 1,000 big goblins below, and there are many big goblins that are very strong. Most of them are heavily injured under the undying tortoise's suppression and can't escape. Some of the big goblin are purposely hiding below." That's simple. Their numbers are shocking, but so what if they are heavily injured by the undying tortoise? Their only fate is to be suppressed. Brother Li, rest well. If any big goblin escapes, you can take care of it. Leave the other big goblin to me. Su Fang wanted the two of them to rest. That's not a problem. Moreover, the 9-headed Demon King is famous in the immortal melody world. There must be a lot of treasures under the ruins. Li Haojie nodded and revealed a greedy look. Coming in front of the undying tortoise, Su Fang merged perfectly with the power of the celestial image Jade Wall. Then, he activated the power of the world and the celestial image, causing the space within the barrier to be under his absolute control. The undying tortoise raised its head and said, "Kid, I'm helping you this time. Otherwise, how many big goblin can you suppress with just a few people? Especially the 9-headed Demon King." This king was secretly sizing it up. "If it wasn't heavily injured by me, you wouldn't be able to defeat it. Unless you use that weird mirror of yours, you won't be able to suppress it. It's all thanks to you." Su Fang dared to admit this in front of the demon tortoise. "Then when are you going to cleanse my marrow and break the restraints of my physical body?" "I'll probably have to wait until I return to the mortal emperor world. I can't do it now. My power doesn't allow me to do it, and I'm not knowledgeable enough. Most importantly, time is the most important thing. I'll let you devour the corpses of the big goblin that you smashed to death." Under Su Fang's instructions, the undying tortoise's 4 feet suddenly shook the ground, causing it to shatter. Then, it rose into the air and was devoured by the immortal light of the Tao artifact. Its huge body disappeared instantly and returned to the space of the celestial image Jade Wall. Kiki! Roar! The undying tortoise disappeared, and the flattened 9-headed city suddenly exploded with demonic aura. Everywhere was shaking, and big goblins' ferocious cries could be heard. Whoosh! Some of the more powerful big goblin took the opportunity to escape in panic. But before they escaped, Su Fang merged perfectly with the Tao artifact. Together with the power of the world and the celestial image, it was as if this space was under his control. Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda. Su Fang looked at the sky. 6 layers of gold and silver holy light suddenly appeared. The Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda, which was 1,000 feet tall, floated above the space. Supreme celestial image, be my master. He spread out his arms and stared at the big goblin that flew out from all directions. He spread out his fingers and grabbed at the big goblin with a shocking aura. Chi, 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 chi. He grabbed a large number of Xian Guang, which the big goblin could not resist. In the blink of an eye, the big goblin was entangled. Then, the big goblin was pulled into the Xian Wang 6 Paths Pagoda by the power of the void. At this moment, hundreds of big goblins that flew out and tried to escape were pulled into the Xian Wang 6 Paths Pagoda by the power of the void. Chapter 735. Nine-Headed City was in ruins. Some of the injured big goblins were instantly suppressed when they saw the powerful big goblin escaping. Their demon aura dissipated as they crawled into the ruins and waited patiently. After 2 hours, Su Fang suppressed a few hundred powerful big goblins. When the dust settled, he arrived above the ruins and saw a few hundred big goblins sitting or lying on the ground. He finally relaxed. Abruptly, Zhong Yu activated his control power and the black-yellow 6 Paths Pagoda flashed over. The pagoda door opened and a suction force gushed out, sucking the great demon into it like a whirlwind. In less than half an hour, finally, there were no more big goblins left alive. In the ruins there were at least 1,000 big goblin corpses. They were all normal big goblins between the Catastrophe Realm and the Ascension Realm. How could they withstand the Undying Tortoise's attack? The Tao artifact enchantment suddenly disappeared in front of Su Fang. The divine image Jade Annulus also fell into his palm. He then sucked the corpses into the Tao artifact for the Undying Tortoise to consume. Brother Fang, Li Haojie and Su Zhenhua also arrived easily. After nodding, they released a ray of yellow light. It was the 9-headed demon king in human form. It looked very young, about 26 years old. The 9-headed demon king appeared powerlessly. When it saw Su Fang, Su Zhenhua, and Li Haojie, it was obviously hostile. But now that it was suppressed, what else could it do? Since you are already in such a state, don't even think about escaping. I can kill you with a single thought. But if you want to kill me, I can easily kill you the moment you think about it. You are also a mutated beast. The power of heaven and earth made you mutate. Wouldn't it be a pity to die like this? Su Fang looked at the 9-headed demon king sternly. Make a seal and find your treasure. 9 Nether enchantment. He thought that the 9-headed demon king would hesitate. Unexpectedly, it turned to look at the depths of the ruins and made a seal with its hands. Tut tut tut, the ruins began to tremble, and a shocking demonic aura overturned the ground. The ruins were shaken apart, and a demonic array appeared. The 9-headed demon king said helplessly, "These are the treasures that I collected from different places 20,000 years ago." Under Su Fang's Dharma seal, the demonic formation in front of them became transparent. They could see many treasure chests and a large number of Dharma treasures floating inside. There were at least 30,000 of them. As for the other treasures, they were also very rich. For the time being, Su Fang didn't have the time to care about this. He immediately absorbed the treasury into his body. The 3 humans and 1 demon floated in mid-air. Su Fang looked at the 9-headed demon king and said, "Next time, we are going to the Demon Cavern continent to deal with the Tongtian demon Venerable. He is also a demon king. Don't tell me you don't know." Piercing Sky Demon Venerable. The 9-headed demon king was stunned. "If you want to deal with him, it won't be as easy as dealing with me. The Tongtian demon Venerable is an anomaly. His original body is a divine arms spirit monkey. His innate intelligence is on par with humans. Hence, he was able to cultivate abhijna since birth. Not only does he know the techniques of the demon race, he also knows the techniques of humans. Su Zhenhua cupped his fist. Master, the Tongtian demon venerable is indeed powerful. He once barged into the immortal melody world, the Tianfang world, and the spiritual dust world. He entered the human territory and collected their technique. He even went deep into the immortal primordial world to wreak havoc. Because of his speed and strength, the Doichi once sent people to the immortal melody world to kill him. However, they were all wiped out in the demon cavern continent. That's good. I was just worried that he wasn't strong enough. However, Su Fang did not change his mind. The Tongtian demon venerable's original body is a divine arms spirit monkey. He was born with a pair of arms that were extremely strong. Just his arms alone are as strong as a king-grade Dharma treasure. In addition to his abhijna cultivation, his speed, and Dharma treasures, his strength is naturally terrifying, the nine-headed demon king explained. It was obvious that he was interested in Su Fang's idea of defeating the heavenly demon venerable. Su Fang looked at him. Then, after suppressing the Tongtian demon venerable, we will return to the human sovereign world. This big goblin's physical body is very strong. He is even stronger than the undying tortoise. Undying tortoise, the divine armed spirit monkey, is naturally not as strong as the undying tortoise. When the undying tortoise was mentioned, the nine-headed demon king trembled. Wasn't it because of the undying tortoise that the nine-headed city was destroyed and the nine-headed demon venerable was suppressed? When you return to the Dharma treasure, I will bring you resources that contain the power of immortals. You can recuperate and cultivate. After keeping the nine-headed demon king in the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, the three of them flew towards the other side of the continent. Half a day later, the three of them stepped into the demon cavern continent. However, they did not look for the Tongtian demon venerable immediately. Since the enemy was such a strong opponent, Su Fang felt that he should cultivate with Li Haojie and Su Zhenhua for a while before heading out. When I was with the brute force demon king, I suppressed more than 1,000 big goblins. Li Haojie also brought back a few hundred big goblins. In addition to the 3,000 small commanders that the nine-headed demon king suppressed, I now have more than 5,000 small commanders. In a dense forest, the three of them were cultivating at different locations within the enchantment. Su Fang gave Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie impotence pills that contained the blood of immortals. He also released his consciousness into the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. It took him more than a year to suppress the 5,000 small commanders. He also gave the 5,000 impotence pills that contained the power of immortals to the big goblin for cultivation and recuperation. The brute force demon king, Purple Fengjun, and the nine-headed demon king enjoyed even more. In order to let them recover quickly, Su Fang released the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda from his body. Because it was his natal treasure, Su Fang felt that something was missing from his body. Although the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda had not reached the ultimate fusion with Su Fang, it was still one with him. Hence, he was not used to it. The Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda stood in an open space surrounded by a forest. The 6 doors were all open, absorbing the natural spiritual qi. This spiritual qi was then absorbed by the 5,000 big goblin. Su Zhenhua's fusion with the essence refining immortal pearl is indeed faster than the third prince. Su Fang could cultivate in peace. He cut many wounds on his body and took out 2 immortal fruits that he obtained from the Xianjia door. He cut them into countless pieces and planted them into his wounds. Suddenly, he felt a strong divine emperor divine origin scripture and the origin of the Xinyuan Empire being released. He looked over and saw that Su Zhenhua was cultivating the essence refining immortal pearl. Su Zhenhua, the former crown prince Zhenhua, had a high status in the Xinyuan Empire and was called the second crown prince. As a mortal, He was definitely a genius to become a member of the imperial family. As expected, he had already fused with a third of the essence refining immortal pearl, surpassing the third prince. Furthermore, his cultivation was not much different from the third prince. He had surpassed the Ascension Transformation realm and became a true expert of a small world. It would be strange if the crown prince of a peerless empire did not have the strength of the Grand Elder or even the Grand Elder. I also have to guard against Su Zhenhua using a Dao item to attack the seal in his body. After all, a Dao item is hard to control. Seeing this, he was happy but also worried. He was happy because Su Zhenhua had such a genius and would become his right-hand man in the future to deal with the Xinyuan Empire. What he was worried about was not Su Zhenhua himself, but that Su Zhenhua would use the Dao item's power to secretly struggle against the seal. Although he had a Dao artifact, it was impossible for him to escape from Su Fang's senses if he wanted to break free from the shackles. It was still best to be cautious. During this period, he used his body to devour many immortal fruits and obtained many resources. However, the things that were truly useful to him were the immortal fruits and immortal energy. His strength was constantly increasing. Su Fang had been fusing with the Zhuotian realm's world essence spirit vein and the other small world's origin stones. In the depths of the 8 yang meridians, the Star River's world energy became deeper and deeper. The treasures that Prince Shui painstakingly collected over the years all ended up benefiting me. In addition to the world essence spirit vein under Immortal Toad's old immortal cave, the Zhuotian realm's origin that I have is constantly increasing. Offending Master Heiyun is the same as offending Zhuotian realm. Master Heiyun and many experts are probably looking for me all over the world because I was the only one who escaped from Xianjia Gate twice. Since Zhuotian realm is my enemy, after I have absolute control over the human emperor world, the next small world I will seize is Zhuotian realm. Another long period of time passed. Su Fang calmly cultivated. He was also planning what he should do in the future, what goals he should have, and what preparations he should make for his goals. With a goal, he would have the motivation to cultivate and overcome difficulties, to become a realm lord. This was his previous goal. His current goal was to be like the Xinyuan Empire's royal family, to become the Star River's overlord of a small world. To become the Star River's overlord, he must seize a few small worlds. His pupils and defensive aura suddenly appeared like an electric current. I have finally reached the peak of 8th layer calamity. It is time to break through to 9th layer calamity. After getting up, Su Fang left his intent to Li Haojie and Su Zhenhua. Then, he took the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda and flew towards the depths of the earth. 2 hours later, he arrived at the depths of a desolate plateau. There wasn't much Yao Qi here. Even the big goblin wouldn't come to such a barren place. You Shao Xing, this time, you will be in charge of protecting me. As for the heavenly tribulation, you don't have to worry. With my strength, entering the 9th layer of calamity won't be a problem. While casting the barrier, a magic treasure light flew out from each of his palms. The divine image jade annulus and the starlight sword were hidden on both sides of the barrier, protecting Su Fang. If there was an accident, the Dao artifact and the starlight sword could definitely protect Su Fang. At the same time, the divine image jade annulus spat out a boundless immortal light. The undying tortoise was like a mountain. It appeared in the center of the 4 mountain ridges, just 100 meters away from Su Fang's barrier. You're about to undergo the tribulation. The undying tortoise saw Su Fang's formation and the shocking heavenly tribulation aura coming from his body. It immediately understood. Su Fang said in the air, "Prepare yourself. When I undergo the tribulation, I will control a small portion of the heavenly tribulation to attack your body and cleanse your marrow. But you have to control how the heavenly tribulation cleanses your marrow. I'm about to undergo the tribulation, so I can't control how the heavenly tribulation affects your body. I understand. I have to control it myself. Then the undying tortoise faced the barrier. Soon, Su Fong released his surging true qi, summoning the heavenly tribulation. The heavenly tribulation was like 10,000 horses galloping. 100 beasts madly condensed in the sky above the plateau, forming a vast world of dark clouds. There's even more heavenly lightning and earthly fire. Heavenly lightning and earthly fire usually appear during the tribulation from the tribulation realm to the ascension realm. I'm really unlucky. I'm only in the tribulation realm, but I have to face heavenly lightning and earthly fire again and again. I wonder how big the difference is between this heavenly lightning and earthly fire compared to the legendary heavenly tribulation that only giants like the Lord of Five Poisons face. In a breath, the first wave of the heavenly tribulation immediately descended. It was a heavenly tribulation storm. Su Fong leaped into the air and came to the barrier. He looked at the first wave of heavenly tribulation and used the power of the world to form two large golden palm prints. With a bang, the large palm print on his left hand hit the first wave of heavenly tribulation. The large palm print on his right hand swept across and actually grabbed a storm of heavenly tribulation power that was 10 feet tall. Then, he suddenly looked at the undying tortoise that was 100 meters away. Chapter 736. The heavenly tribulation that cultivators and demons were afraid of was easily handled by Su Fong, as if it was a kind of magical power. Qi. The 5 fingers of his right hand rolled the storm of heavenly tribulation in the air like a giant, rolling towards the undying tortoise. Su Fong dealt with the heavenly tribulation and looked forward to the next scene casually. With this level of heavenly tribulation, it can kill cultivators below the 5th level of the feather transformation realm. It shouldn't be able to hurt the undying tortoise, whose strength exceeds the feather transformation realm. The heavenly tribulation cleansed the body. This was probably something only demons could do. Humans couldn't withstand this force of nature. Sizzle! The power of the storm of heavenly tribulation seemed small, but it was nothing in front of the undying tortoise's body. It hit the left side of the undying tortoise, but it immediately set off dazzling sparks of heavenly tribulation, turning into a torrent of destructive heavenly tribulation power. The undying tortoise didn't move much, but its eyeballs were emitting more demon qi. In less than a few breaths, the storm of heavenly tribulation completely disappeared from the undying tortoise's body. The parts that were hit, whether it was the tortoise shell or the skin, emitted a burst of green smoke. The demon tortoise's cold voice sounded, "Kid, this heavenly tribulation is not strong enough. Give me more." This was as Su Fong expected. The undying tortoise's body was extraordinary. If this heavenly tribulation could do anything to it, then it wouldn't be a heaven-defying monster with a lifespan of 600,000 years. At this time, the first heavenly tribulation also slowly disappeared under Su Fong's absolute strength. The second heavenly tribulation that followed had a very powerful heavenly thunder. Moreover, Su Fong appeared around the heavenly thunder, and some tribulation fire that didn't seem to belong to the second heavenly tribulation appeared. Er's thought came to his mind, "Master, you blasphemed the heavenly tribulation by hitting the undying tortoise with the heavenly tribulation power. The power of the heavenly tribulation you will have to bear next should be twice as strong as this." I see. When cultivators undergo heavenly tribulation, they can't ask experts to directly interfere with the heavenly tribulation, because they are afraid of this scene. At this time, he knew how dangerous it was to help the undying tortoise's body. He still struck out with his palm and grabbed the second heavenly tribulation with his 5 fingers. A large amount of tribulation fire, carrying a strange black silk-like aura, continued to pounce towards Su Fong. Fortunately, he had also used his defenses to resist the attack of the tribulation fire. He didn't expect the tribulation fire to be much more powerful than the second heavenly tribulation. It burned his defenses until they were on the verge of collapse. With his right hand, he forcefully grabbed a bolt of heavenly tribulation that was mainly composed of heavenly thunder and struck it towards the undying turtle. Shurja this time, a part of the undying tortoise's body, was struck by the heavenly lightning. The electric current covered 1/3 of the undying tortoise's body. It looked very fierce. The undying tortoise also spoke. It was still not affected much, but it said something that made Su Fang's scalp go numb. External attacks won't work. Lord Tortoise's body is too tough. It's better to suck it into your body through your mouth and let the heavenly tribulation directly attack your body from the inside. Devouring tribulation woo woo woo, a gust of chilly wind, even more frightening than the heavenly tribulation, suddenly assaulted the Su Fang. Since the undying tortoise could withstand it, he would do his best to help. After the second wave of heavenly tribulation was forcefully neutralized, the third wave was an even more astonishing heavenly lightning. The heavenly lightning tribulation was also surrounded by even darker heavenly tribulation flames. Su Fang still used his big palm print to attack the heavenly lightning, but the power of the surrounding black heavenly tribulation was stronger than before. Twice as much. When it landed on the defense, it directly shattered the layers of defense. For Su Fang, the consumption of true qi was naturally twice as much. If it were an ordinary cultivator, would they still be able to survive such a powerful heavenly tribulation? Therefore, ordinary cultivators would not be willing to help others transcend the tribulation. Not only would they be attacked by the heavenly tribulation, but the person transcending the tribulation would also die. Under the pressure of the 5 fingers, the heavenly lightning stripped from the heavenly tribulation slapped towards the undying tortoise, which had already opened its mouth and spat out an absolute shackle suction force. Shurja, the heavenly tribulation was very delicate, as if it was piercing through the air. The undying tortoise opened its mouth and swallowed. Immediately, its huge head was filled with lightning and tribulation qi. Soon, some electric luster appeared in its body. Zzz, some black and green smoke seeped out from under the undying tortoise's shell. It felt like the undying tortoise was being barbecued by the heavenly tribulation, and its vitality was so fierce that it was completely burnt. Grandpa, this is really exciting. It's just that this Lord Tortoise has a hard time controlling the heavenly tribulation. It surges into my body in a short period of time, and there are too many meridians around my body. The meridians in my body are 10,000 times that of a human's. Kid, continue. Give me something fiercer. When the undying tortoise opened its mouth, it spat out a black smoke ring. It didn't seem to be affected much, and it continued to shout proudly. After Su Fang nodded, he shattered the 3rd heavenly tribulation and began to welcome the 4th heavenly tribulation. The following heavenly tribulations from the 4th to the 8th were all passed in the same way. When it came to the 9th heavenly tribulation, some impurities seeped out from the undying tortoise's body, just like a human. It seemed that the cleansing of the heavenly tribulation did help it to a certain extent. The 9th heavenly tribulation was also the last heavenly tribulation. Once it was passed, Su Fang would be able to step into the 9th heavenly tribulation from the 8th heavenly tribulation. He would only be a step away from the peak of the 10th heavenly tribulation. Suddenly, a large lightning tribulation storm descended from the sky. This lightning tribulation storm was not the 9th heavenly tribulation, but the punishment for Su Fang's blasphemy against the will of the heavenly tribulation. The 9 burning black flames in the center were the real 9 heavenly tribulations. This time, Su Fang not only activated the giant palm print, but also released the Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword. He immediately attacked the 8 black flames. The giant palm print grabbed the 9th heavenly tribulation, and a part of the palm print on his right hand was peeled off. He hurriedly slapped the undying tortoise in the air. He activated the Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword again. His whole body was covered in cold sweat. This time, he attacked the terrifying lightning tribulation storm that surrounded the 9 heavenly tribulation. Tut 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 above Su Fang, the Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword suddenly confronted the 9 heavenly tribulation and the lightning tribulation storm head-on. Fortunately, he was a leapfrog, and his strength was far beyond the 8th heavenly tribulation. Otherwise, if he was just an ordinary feather transformation realm cultivator, he would definitely die. The heavenly tribulation was blocked, and Su Fang looked at the undying tortoise again. This time, the heavenly tribulation that the undying tortoise faced was almost as strong as Su Fang's, but it was even more unlucky. The will of the heavenly tribulation attacked Su Fang, but it insisted on attracting the heavenly tribulation, so the will of the heavenly tribulation had to completely explode. In addition to the tortoise shell, a lot of heavenly tribulation light appeared around its body. It was not too dazzling. The undying tortoise dared to swallow the heavenly tribulation. It also opened its mouth and constantly breathed out smoke rings. It probably gave others the impression that the undying tortoise had swallowed a piece of the sky curtain, and the sky curtain was inside its body. It was as fast as lightning, exploding natural disasters. Su Fang could be considered to have really learned something. Using the heavenly tribulation to baptize, it was rumored, but it was not necessarily something that could happen. He saw it with his own eyes, and it was the big goblin that directly swallowed the great tribulation into its body. This kind of marrow-cleansing method should have been unprecedented. Pain less than half an incense stick's time, the 9th heavenly tribulation was shattered by Su Fang in the air. Su Fang suddenly shouted, "Undying tortoise, come here. After the tribulation, there will be a lot of tribulation power. You can swallow it into your body and combine it with the demon aura to attack your body." Wait, the undying tortoise probably didn't feel good either. Its body was black and constantly emitted green smoke. Although it seemed to be moving slowly, it suddenly jumped up. "It's over." The undying tortoise soared into the air. Su Fang seemed to have seen the scene of the attack on Nine-Head City. He hurriedly dodged. The pitiful formation instantly shattered as the undying tortoise landed. He flashed onto the undying tortoise's back. As expected, the aura of the tribulation and some spiritual light did not seem to be much at first. Soon, it surged towards Su Fang at 100 times the speed. Su Fang was startled. He suddenly understood. It seems that blaspheming the heavenly tribulation will strengthen it. And if you enter the tribulation's spiritual aura, it will naturally cause the heavenly tribulation to send more tribulation power. It's all mutual. The undying tortoise did not care so much. It opened its mouth and swallowed the tribulation's spiritual aura. Su Fang sat cross-legged on the undying tortoise and also absorbed the tribulation's spiritual aura. For a human and a demon to undergo tribulation like this, it could be considered unique in this small world. In less than a day, the tribulation's spiritual aura disappeared, and the heavenly tribulation also retreated. Su Fang heaved a sigh of relief. "Undying tortoise, you will be my commander in the future. Hurry up and cultivate. If you can achieve a human form, you can enter the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda." The undying tortoise was unhappy below. "You are too weak. If you didn't have a treasure to suppress me, how could you have done anything to me? You couldn't even do anything to the 9-headed demon king. Brat, don't blow your own trumpet. Strength can't be obtained in a short period of time. You have lived for hundreds of thousands of years to get to where you are today. And I have only cultivated for 400 years. In less than 1,000 years, I will completely surpass you. Are you bragging again? Don't disturb me. You are really thick-skinned, demon tortoise. Next, I will give you an immortal's blood essence. Take the opportunity to combine it with the tribulation's spiritual aura to strengthen your physical body." Su Fang grabbed a streak of bright red blood aura. It emitted a strange, immortal light. As he pointed with his right hand, it quickly flew towards the undying tortoise's head. He also took out an immortal fruit. In the end, before he could eat it, the undying tortoise saw it and stretched out its hand to ask for it. Su Fang shook his head. This is a great world's immortal fruit. You can't melt it. The undying tortoise was not polite at all. What kind of body does Lord Tortoise have? So many treasures and spirit stones have been digested in my stomach. Helplessly, it gave it a fruit. It's not enough. Your body is only the size of a sesame seed, and you want to swallow 2 immortal fruit. My demon body is many times bigger than yours. I need at least 10. You might as well rob me. If I could rob you, Lord Tortoise would have done so long ago. Then why are you still talking about this immortal fruit? Look at the immortal melody world, the spiritual dust world, and the heaven trial world. How many can you find? I risked my life to get this from the Xianjia gate. You have to give me 1 credit. Giving you 1 fruit is already good enough. If I want 10, you have to give me 10 credits. Let Lord Tortoise eat it first. I will deal with you later. After some hesitation. In the end, Su Fang could only watch as the 10 immortal fruits were sucked in by the undying tortoise's shackling power. After the undying tortoise swallowed the immortal fruits, its body no longer emitted green smoke. It seemed that the immortal fruits were too miraculous. The undying tortoise said happily, "Kid, find more immortal fruits in the future. This is even better than the heavenly tribulation cleansing. If you can give Lord Tortoise a lot of these immortal fruits, then Lord Tortoise will personally help you snatch that Zhuotian world or primordial god world. In short, both small worlds will help you snatch them." You're daydreaming. I'm empty-handed. How can I help you snatch a white wolf out of thin air? He ignored the undying tortoise. This old fellow was truly insatiable. No wonder it had swallowed so many treasures in its stomach, causing the spiritual bead to be unable to grow stronger. 2 words. Serves it right. After swallowing a large amount of energy, the destruction of his physical body had already ended. He welcomed the shocking physical strength of the 9th layer Calamity realm. At this moment, his great circle abilities and physical strength had undergone a great transformation. His vision and hearing could already cover thousands of miles. It was truly shocking. Oh, the blood threads of the Black Lotus true body in my body have all reached the level of silk. They are even thicker than silk and are the size of silver needles. As his physical body continued to cultivate and gave birth to power, Su Fang began to fully control his physical body. The biggest change was the Black Lotus true body. It was not vitality, but the blood threads that connected his flesh, meridians, and bones. His entire body was densely covered in blood threads, even his eyeballs were covered in them. When Su Fang had fought with the 3rd Crown Prince, all his meridians had been shattered. It was the blood threads of the Black Lotus true body that had played a life-saving role and replaced his meridians. All his blood energy, true qi, and strength had been circulated through the blood threads, allowing Su Fang to recover. Chapter 737. Black Lotus True Body. This was one of the reasons why 7-Star Child came down. He didn't hesitate to come down to the mortal world to kill Su Fang and take back his body. This showed how incredible the Black Lotus True Body was. Su Fang continued to stare at the Black Lotus blood threads in the depths of his body. They were densely packed like needles, connecting his flesh, bones, meridians, true qi, and even his skin to form a perfect Black Lotus true body. In ancient times, among the humans who focused on body cultivation, this perfect Black Lotus true body was probably one of the best. Currently, the true qi flow in the Black Lotus blood threads is less than 1,000th of the body's meridians. If these blood threads become thicker in the future, my overall cultivation speed will rise to a terrifying level. It can even replace the meridians, the life bridge of the body. 7-Star Child, you didn't hesitate to come down to the lower realm to take back the Black Lotus true body. I won't let you do as you wish. You're an immortal, and you think you can control everything. You're probably still looking for me in the Zhuotian realm, the Wu-Tan realm, and even the Spirit Mist realm. You don't know that I'm growing stronger step by step in this distant galaxy. Su Fang's body was burning with confidence. His strength was close to the normal state of the ninth layer catastrophe. The righteous energy of heaven and earth kept surging. Under the control of his world power and divine might, even the natural energy of the immortal melody realm was 10 times stronger than ordinary people. It was condensed and absorbed into his body. The undying turtle's demon chi was on the verge of bursting out. It also contained a lot of immortal chi. The biggest difference between the undying turtle and before was that the demon chi in its aura was more ethereal, with a trace of immortal chi. Obviously, the immortal fruit and immortal chi were condensing in its body and cultivating a stronger spiritual pearl. The biggest problem now was the body. Thinking of this problem and knowing the undying turtle's situation, he wanted it to transform into a human body as soon as possible. Otherwise, if such a big body entered the divine image jade wall, it would bring a certain amount of pressure to the Tao artifact. Su Fang secretly contacted Li Haojie. Brotherly, can you help me see if there's a great demon cultivation technique that's suitable for the undying tortoise? You've seen how powerful it is. In the future, it can help you and me with anything. The latter nodded, and in the depths of the forest on the other side, he was probably busy looking for cultivation methods. His strength grew stronger step by step. During this time, Su Fang also began to cultivate various magical powers. Holy Emperor Divine Origin Scripture, Bloody Hell Wolf Smoke, Illusory Fire Cloud, Giant Diamond Body, 9 Suns 9 Changes, Heavenly Demon Book, Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal, Human Emperor's Supreme Technique, Ethereal Myriad Laws Tao, Limitless Tao Art. When he cultivated the Heavenly Demon Scripture, the young infant would automatically follow the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal and split into thousands of young infants. They would continuously split and shrink. Su Fang's Heavenly Demon Manual's late-stage cultivation method seemed to contain other supernatural powers, such as the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal's offensive supernatural power. Depending on the cultivator, any cultivation method would result in different results. The Tianma Tome was originally the Devil Race's mental cultivation method, but when it fell into Su Fang's hands, combined with the power of the Righteous Path and the Devil Path, a lot of unpredictable changes took place. This transformation, at least for now, was not bad, except for the Nightmare Demon Blood transformation. The appearance of the Nightmare Devil Blood transformation was not only because of the demonic book, but also because of the power of the demonic Tao. However, the most important thing was Su Fang's own willpower. If one's willpower could control oneself at any time and place, why would one be in danger of falling into the devil path? He split off a young infant and sent it into the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. More than 5,000 junior commanders were in the midst of cultivation. Most of them were severely injured. Even if the big goblin was not injured, it would not be easy for it to merge with the power of the immortals. Su Fang went directly in front of the brute force Demon King and the 9-headed Demon King. Master! The 2 Demon Kings bowed respectfully. It seemed that the 9-headed Demon King had accepted the fact that he was being suppressed. Cultivate well, and also warn the big goblin below to serve me loyally. Resources like the immortals will be given to you in the future. This is much better than cultivating on your own. I will not treat those who are loyal to me as slaves. Those who have thoughts of rebellion are my enemies. 9-headed Demon King, this natal magic treasure of mine is close to a Tao artifact. It is between a king-grade magic treasure and a Tao artifact. It has a total of 6 levels, and each level can contain 100,000 junior commanders. 100,000 junior commanders, but only about 5,000 big goblin. It is far from enough. This is the reason why I came to the immortal melody world. The big goblin that I am going to deal with next is the peerless expert of the demon cavern continent, the sky-piercing demon Venerable. This demon's prowess is well known in the immortal melody world. If you cooperate with me to suppress this demon, I will use the Tao artifact on you to cultivate. I will find out the flaws in your body and allow you to cultivate faster. I estimate that you have already surpassed the Ascension realm and are close to ascending. With the help of my Tao artifact, you will be able to ascend to the great world in 1,000 years. In front of the brute force demon king and the nine-headed demon king, Su Fang's tone was intimidating at first, but it became calmer later on. However, this calmness made the nine-headed demon king tremble. This was because Su Fang could see clearly where it hurt. Although it was a peerless big goblin, if not for the undying tortoise, Su Fang would not be able to suppress it. With its strength, even if Su Fang used the mixed essence sacred state, it would still be difficult for him to suppress it in terms of speed. Therefore, the nine-headed demon king was not satisfied from the moment it was suppressed. But when it heard that Su Fang had the thing that it needed the most, it naturally changed its mind. Who did not want to ascend to the great world? This simple reason was enough for the nine-headed demon king to serve Su Fang loyally. The nine-headed demon king said, "Master, the Tongtian demon Venerable is indeed powerful. His overall strength is not much different from mine. However, in the demon cavern continent, he controls close to 10,000 big goblin experts. Most importantly, he is allied with the other big goblins in the demon cavern continent. If we do not suppress him quickly, once the other demon kings come, we will not be able to suppress the Tongtian demon Venerable." Su Fang chuckled. His laughter was unsettling. He has more than 10,000 big goblin under his command. More than 10,000 big goblins, and this is still considered a small number. The Tongtian demon Venerable is so powerful in the demon cavern continent. If he were to summon big goblin, tens of thousands of big goblins would not be a problem. Let me think. This way I will be able to think of a better way to deal with this demon. Master, to deal with such a big goblin, a direct confrontation will not work. If 10,000 big goblins attack together, the few of us will not be able to withstand it. We can only think of other ways to deal with it. It seemed like the nine-headed demon king really wanted to serve Su Fang from now on. He started to give suggestions to Su Fang. After a moment of silence, Su Fang said, "Have you interacted with the Tongtian demon Venerable?" The nine-headed demon king said, "Many times. In the 3 continents, the demon kings would visit each other from time to time. The demon kings in the immortal melody world are quite united. I am also one of the strongest big goblin kings in the Wuan continent. Whenever the Tongtian demon Venerable steps into the Wuan continent, he will have to meet us big goblin. Conversely, when I go to the demon cavern continent, I will have to meet the Tongtian demon Venerable." Su Fang suddenly looked to the side. "That's good. Demon King Brute Force, tell me how I used King Luo Shan to suppress you." The Brute Force Demon King, who had been waiting obediently, was suddenly stunned. When he saw Su Fang's gaze, he unwillingly told him how he was suppressed. "Master, you mean to do what King Luo Shan did? Get close to the Tongtian demon Venerable and launch a sneak attack?" The nine-headed demon king was indeed a peerless big goblin. He immediately understood Su Fang's intention. "You are not very close to the Tongtian demon Venerable, but you still visit him often. You can visit his territory and find the best opportunity to deal with him together." Su Fang had a rough idea of what to do. The Tongtian demon Venerable is very strong. However, if we work together, I am confident that we can suppress him. In fact, I want to suppress the tens of thousands of big goblin under him. This is even more difficult than suppressing the Tongtian demon Venerable. Suppressing tens of thousands of big goblin? How difficult was it? The nine-headed demon king said gloomily, "Master, you can use the same method you used on my nine-head city to deal with the Tongtian demon venerable. The undying tortoise is invulnerable. Even magic treasures cannot harm it. Using it to launch a sneak attack on tens of thousands of big goblin is definitely the best method. I have thought of this method before. Once the undying tortoise launches a sneak attack on any enchantment or city, it will destroy everything. However, I am thinking that if the big goblin under the Tongtian demon venerable is not concentrated in one city, but spread out, even if the undying tortoise attacks, it will only be able to subdue a portion of them. I didn't think of that. I have a certain understanding of the sky-piercing demon Exalted's territory. Indeed, because the sky-piercing demon Exalted is too powerful, his territory is naturally much larger than my nine-headed city. Continue to cultivate. When we reach the Tongtian demon venerable, we will think of a solution. Perhaps everything will be solved when we reach there." After the order was given, Su Fang's young infant immediately returned to his original body. He then checked the condition of his physical body. It was almost at the normal state of a ninth-tier catastrophe. In addition, he had cultivated many supernatural powers. His current strength was more than twice as strong as when he took back the mortal emperor world. In other words, if he faced the elders of heaven and earth with his ninth-tier catastrophe cultivation, he would be able to kill them without being injured. If he faced the third prince, he would still not be a match for the thunder elemental power from the great world. However, he could kill the third prince with his strength. If he encountered Heartless Granny again, he would probably be killed by Heartless Granny in less than 3 moves. In order to be more confident in dealing with the Tongtian demon venerable and suppressing the large number of big goblin under his command, Su Fang took out the power of immortals and gave it to thousands of junior commanders, especially the nine-headed demon king, the brute force demon king, and the purple wind serpent. Unknowingly, 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. When Su Fang saw that his strength had reached the normal state of a ninth-tier catastrophe, he absorbed the immortal turtle into the jade annulus and called back the starry daylight sword. He immediately disappeared. When he came to the formation where Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie were cultivating, he saw that the two's aura was like a rainbow. Su Zhenhua's cultivation had already reached the ascendant transformation realm, the same level as the old antique. Su Fang released his will and had the two slowly stop cultivating. While waiting, he secretly asked, "Little star, the realm above the ascendant transformation realm is the flying immortal realm." You could not answer this question. Only the non-poisonous true qi and the original soul of the starry daylight sword could give Su Fang a satisfactory answer. Especially Little Star. It was a magic treasure from 1,000,000 years ago, so it understood the small world very well. Little Star appeared in the divine aperture and turned into a black sword. Mortal cultivation starts from the basic Chi-Eater realm, then step by step into the flesh embryo realm, secret path realm, Dharma cave realm, divine ability realm, vast core realm, heavenly union realm, longevity realm, undead realm, young infant realm, catastrophe realm, ascendant realm. Not counting the Chi-Eater realm, there are a total of 12 realms. In ancient times, the Chi-Eater realm was the most basic cultivation. In modern times, the majority of mortal cultivation is done by cultivators who consecrate and cleanse the marrow of mortals. They can easily lead mortals to the door of cultivation. The beginning is the flesh embryo realm, the cultivation of the body. Chapter 738. Little Star continued. In terms of cultivation, the flesh embryo realm is the foundation, and the feather transformation realm is the final realm. In the eyes of many cultivators, the feather transformation realm represents ascension to immortality. The meaning of feather transformation is to shed the mortal body of a mortal. After this realm is the flying celestial realm that Master mentioned. There is a reason why Little Star did not include the Chi-Eater realm and the Flying Celestial realm in the 12 realms. The Chi-Eater realm is only a type of breathing cultivation for mortals, and is not considered true cultivation. As for the Flying Celestial realm, it is no longer considered a mortal, but a half-immortal. Half-immortal is easy to understand. It means that a cultivator has one foot in the mortal world and the other foot in the outside world, and is in between the two realms. The final tribulation of the feather transformation realm is the heavenly lightning earthly fire. After passing it, it is the Flying Celestial realm. The Flying Celestial realm has a total of 3 realms, known as the First Path Calamity, Second Path Calamity, and Third Path Calamity. Because entering the Flying Celestial realm, one has to face the Doomsday Calamity. Moreover, one has to pass 3 calamities, known as the Third Path Calamity. Facing these 3 calamities, who knows how many cultivators will be turned into ashes? For example, Su Zhenhua has just passed the heavenly lightning earthly fire and stepped into the First Path Calamity of the Flying Celestial realm. He has not passed the First Path Calamity. In this small world, many old antiques and even a small number of great elders are in between the Feather Transformation realm and the First Path Calamity of the Flying Celestial realm. Because they are stuck in the Flying Celestial realm, they do not have the confidence to deal with the Doomsday Calamity. At this point, Little Star closed his mouth. Su Fang's young infant deeply recalled Little Star's description of the realms. Cultivators had to face the 12th realm. From the flesh embryo realm to the feather transformation realm. He did not expect that even if he stepped into the feather transformation realm, it was not the final realm. There was still the Flying Celestial realm that trapped countless old antiques. Su Fang only came back to his senses after a long while. According to you, most of the supreme martial artists and big shots in the small world are between the feather transformation realm and the Flying Celestial realm. Isn't the difference in strength between the 3rd level of the Flying Celestial realm extremely shocking? Of course. Back then, the old Master Evil Lord's cultivation was at the Flying Immortal realm with 2 Tao of Calamity. His strength was already the supreme of the small world. Being able to reach the Flying Immortal realm with 3 Tao of Calamity is the final realm of the mortal realm. Having 3 Tao of Calamity is equivalent to being an immortal in the small world. That Su Zhenhua has already reached the first Tao of Calamity, but he still needs many years of cultivation to reach the peak of the first Tao of Calamity and then pass the Doomsday Tao of Calamity to reach the second Tao of Calamity. According to Little Star's words, the 2 elders of heaven and earth, the 3rd prince, Tai Ho Wang, Qin Yuanho, Su Zhenhua, Elder He Zun, Elder Honglian, and Elder Tsang Hao are probably at the first or second Tao of Calamity. I didn't expect that there would be such a clear difference in strength between them in the same realm. At this moment, Su Fang's heart trembled slightly. Then with my cultivation at the 9th level of the Calamity realm, my strength should be at the 9th level of the Feather Transformation realm. If I activate my life source treasure and the power of the world, I estimate that I can reach the peak of the 10th level of the Feather Transformation realm. Finally, if I activate my Tao artifact, my overall strength just happens to have the strength of a normal Tao of Calamity. After comparing, he had a rough outline of his strength. Su Fang communicated with Little Star again. There was once a senior called the Lord of 5 Poisons. He said that he had passed the final Tao of Calamity. Could it be that he was at the 3rd level of the Calamity realm? Little Star immediately nodded. The final Tao of Calamity realm is the Doomsday Tao of Calamity realm. That means that this Lord of 5 Poisons is an invincible existence in this small world. Apart from immortals, no one can surpass him. Even if immortals descend, they might not be able to truly suppress a powerhouse at the 3rd level of the Calamity realm. So the sect master is actually this powerful. Master, the flying immortal realm has 3 Tao of Calamity Realm. Even if they are all at the first level of the Calamity Realm, there are still different levels. The flying immortal realm is different from other realms. It seems like there are only 3 realms, but it's just condensing the previous 10 realms into one realm. Therefore, if they are all at the first level of the Calamity Realm, then there is a clear difference in strength between these cultivators. I understand now. It seems that only when I step into the feather transformation realm can my strength truly reach the first level of the Calamity Realm, which is the height of those old antique. He suddenly understood. After a while, Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie came to meet up. The 3 of them did not speak much and immediately flew towards the Demon Cavern continent. During this time, Su Fang also learned more about the sky-piercing demon Venerable from the 9-headed Demon King. Because the sky-piercing demon Venerable was a divine arm spirit monkey, he could grasp many divine abilities like a human. Therefore, his territory was not like the 9-headed city. It was called the Sky-Piercing Demon World. The Sky-Piercing Demon World was created by the Sky-Piercing Demon Venerable using a large number of formations. In reality, it was like the boundary of a cultivation sect. The inside of the demon world was a space created by a large number of formations. Therefore, it was called the Sky-Piercing Demon World. This also showed how powerful the Sky-Piercing Demon Venerable was. With such control over divine abilities, was he still a big goblin? Even Immortal Toad, Sky Drill Rat Emperor, and Dao Jin Fox Mother were far from him. He had to suppress such a big goblin. Less than 2 hours later, in front of the 3 of them, a mountain range surrounded by clouds appeared. At the foot of the mountain, a large river was dug out and a high wall was built. That was because this mountain range was the Sky-Piercing Demon Venerable's Sky-Piercing Demon World. Looking around the mountain range, there were thousands of big goblins in the forest. They were all at the Tribulation and Ascension realms, and they weren't even the Sky-Piercing Demon Venerable's subordinates. Su Zhenhua sighed. The Sky-Piercing Demon Venerable is too powerful. No wonder even when the Doichi sent experts here, they were unable to kill it. Unless the Doichi sent over 10,000 cultivators, as well as many old antiques, they would be able to completely deal with the Sky-Piercing Demon Venerable. But even that wouldn't work. If the other demon kings came to help, the Doichi still wouldn't be able to do anything to it. Brother Fang, it'll be even more difficult this time. Li Haojie was also a bit moved. This scene made it seem like the 3 of them were trying to shake this mountain range with their tiny bodies. Was this even possible? The shock it brought was naturally indescribable. Let's follow our plan and do it step by step. You 2 enter my life treasure first. I'll sneak in and take a look. Su Fang decisively activated the Xian Guang, allowing Li Haojie and Su Zhenhua to enter the 6th layer of the Xian Huang 6 Paths Pagoda. Using the ethereal true scripture, Su Fang controlled the clouds, perfectly concealing his aura. He followed the clouds over the river and into the forest. Once they entered the forest, Su Fang activated his wood attribute abilities. His left arm pressed against a large tree, and his body was immediately filled with wood energy. Furthermore, when he touched a large tree, he would perfectly transform into the tree's color. He could practically fuse with the tree. Back in the Heavenly Gourd domain, when he was dealing with Prince Shui and fusing with the Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree's spirit root, his subduing Dragonwood's left arm had been able to transform into wood energy. Now that Su Fang had fused with the tree, he was like a completely different person. Now that he had fused with the tree, not only was his color the same as the tree, but he also had some leaves growing out of his body. Furthermore, he was able to freely retract and release them. After breaking through to the 9th layer of Calamity Realm, the changes in my physical body's abilities are too obvious. I wonder what level my abilities will reach after breaking through to the 10th layer and then entering the Ascension Realm. At that time, I'll probably go to the Heavenly Gourd domain and fuse with the Heavenly Gourd spirit tree. Just like that, Su Fong quickly crossed the forest and arrived at the mountain peak. In the middle of the mountain, he saw a huge floating enchantment inside the mountain. This barrier was the Heavenly Demon Realm. Furthermore, there was a detection array around the entire mountain range. If anyone entered without permission, they would be discovered by the patrolling Big Goblin. Su Fong arrived outside the Heavenly Demon Realm. When he saw this barrier, he was very surprised. It can actually reach the height of a second-rate faction's barrier. Although it can't compare to a first-rate faction, this height is already shocking. How many humans and Big Goblin can it stop? He released his true chi and fused with the world's divine aura, slowly touching the array. This time, he didn't need to release the divine image Jade Annulus. Instead, he slowly used his true chi, using wood energy and natural energy as the main force, to slowly penetrate. After penetrating layer by layer, after 2 hours, he finally penetrated through the entire realm. These penetrating layers formed a fist-sized passageway. Su Fong entered one after another. When he looked again, he was already inside the Heavenly Demon Realm. In front of him were huge mountains and forests. There were also many valleys with beautiful scenery. This wasn't the Big Goblin world. However, the scenery was only on the surface. This world was filled with shocking demonic aura. It constantly spewed out from the valleys, mountains, and forests. There were about 1,000 palaces and castles located on the mountain peaks, mountainsides, or valleys. There were even more indescribable caves that filled the walls of the cliffs. The amount of demonic aura represented the number of Big Goblin. Su Fong's expression suddenly froze. Some cold air spread between his eyebrows. Nine-headed Demon King, I can already sense the aura of no less than 20,000 Big Goblin. Didn't you say that the Heavenly Demon Venerable only has close to 10,000 Big Goblin under him? There are so many Big Goblin. Something is wrong. The nine-headed Demon King did not understand. Master, you better leave. Something must have happened in the Heavenly Demon Realm. Otherwise, there would not be so many Big Goblin. I have come here 10 times, if not 100, but I have never sensed more than 10,000 Big Goblin in the Heavenly Demon Realm. It's okay. The Big Goblin world is not a human world. There is only one person here who can pose a threat. That is the Heavenly Demon Venerable. However, it is obvious that his supernatural powers are far from that of a human martial artist. Based on this, he will not be able to detect my presence. With caution, Su Fong did not stay in midair. Instead, he entered the mountains. He continued to use his wood elemental ability to travel through the forest. In the process, he came across many caves, castles, and palaces. He sensed too many Big Goblin that had reached the high level of the U-transformation realm. After spending half a day, he finally arrived at the outside of another enchantment. This enchantment was probably the center of the Heavenly Demon Realm. It was also where the Heavenly Demon Venerable and his martial artists were. Su Fong spent some effort and easily entered the enchantment. In front of him were more than 10 spaces formed by the enchantment. It looked like more than 10 demon clouds were floating in midair. In every space formed by the enchantment, there was a giant demon that had reached the level of the brute force Demon King. This meant that there were more than 10 brute force Demon Kings here. Although there were only a dozen spaces, there were many Big Goblin in each space. There were probably hundreds of powerful Big Goblin here. In the middle, which was also the highest space formed by the enchantment, Su Fong felt an indescribable aura of Big Goblin. First, there were more than 10 Big Goblins that were as strong as the brute force Demon King. Next, there were 2 Big Goblin auras that were as strong as the 9-headed Demon King. One of them must be the Heavenly Demon Venerable. But what about the other Big Goblin? Could there be another Big Goblin that was as strong as the Heavenly Demon Venerable? One Heavenly Demon Venerable was hard enough to deal with, but there were 2 of them? Su Fong secretly asked the nine-headed Demon King, but he could not be sure. In the past, the heavenly demon Venerable did not have such a powerful big goblin. The nine-headed Demon King's strength was at the same level as the heavenly demon Venerable. Now that there was another big goblin, it would not be easy to deal with the heavenly demon Venerable. Su Fong was also bold. He released his full circle ability and approached the enchantment. He wanted to enter the heavenly demon Venerable's dojo to find out what was going on. Chapter 739. Wooling Goblin. The closer he got to the center of the formation, the stronger the demonic aura. The auras of dozens of big goblin intertwined. At first, they were covered by the formation and could not be sensed. But now, some of the big goblin auras were very clear. As his hands touched the formation, Su Fong gradually merged with the formation. With the support of the godly form and the demonic aura in his body, his entire body was covered with demonic aura. In this way, he was no longer a human. Demonic aura was not easily sensed in the sky-reaching demon world. But if a human was in this formation, it would be like walking on thin ice. Su Fong could activate the demonic and demonic aura at any time. With the demonic aura and the power of the world, he quickly found the formation patterns in the formation. After some integration, he easily passed through it. At this moment, he was inside the formation. Not only was there a palace in front of him, but the entire world was filled with demonic aura. There are also many earth elemental and wood elemental demonic auras. What's going on? Floating in the space, he suddenly felt a different demonic aura. He first hid near the palace and then activated his great fulfillment ability. His vision could see through the palace and the big goblin inside. The big goblins were all in human form. There were only a few patrolling big goblins, but their strength was close to that of the brute force Demon King. His great fulfillment ability quickly found the target he was looking for. In the middle of the palace, there were two extremely strong demonic auras released from the dark golden palace. One of the demonic auras was violent and bloody. It had a shocking aura of vital energy and supernatural powers. The big goblin had supernatural powers that only humans had. It must be the sky-reaching demon Venerable. As for the other one, its aura was filled with earth elemental power. The demonic aura was not bloody, but it was very evil. This was an unusual big goblin. Looks like the stone monsters on the 7 Stars Demon Island. This is a stone demon. The great fulfillment ability locked onto the palace and also found the location and aura of the sky-reaching demon Venerable and the big goblin. He secretly communicated with the 9-headed Demon King. It's a rock demon, and it's as strong as the Tong Tian demon Venerable. Such a big goblin is not common in the demon cavern continent. The 9-headed Demon King fell silent. After a while, he said in surprise, "It must be one of the peerless demon kings of the demon cave continent, Wooling Goblin." Wooling Goblin. Su Fong's eyes lit up. There are more than 100 demon kings in the demon cave continent, and each demon king has extraordinary abilities. However, there are not many demon kings who have reached the strength of the demon Venerable Demon King. Furthermore, it is a stone demon. It must be a Wooling Goblin. I have seen this rock demon a few times. When we met, we only drank wine and ate meat. However, I still have some understanding of it. The Wooling Goblin has been cultivating for a very long time, probably close to 100,000 years. This demon is very legendary. Came from the ridge of a mountain, and that ridge was called the Black Ridge. For some unknown reason, after countless years, a thunderbolt appeared on this ridge one night. Not long after, a big goblin called the Wooling Goblin appeared in the Demon Cavern continent. This is the current Wooling Goblin. This person is very strong, and its body can turn into Vajra. Its hardness is exactly the same as a magic treasure. In the immortal melody world, Its demon body's hardness is probably even greater than that of the sky-reaching demon Venerable. The nine-headed demon king was shocked as he explained the Wuling Goblin's origin and abilities. This made Su Fang remember his experience on the Seven Stars Demon Island even more clearly. Stone demon. No matter how powerful the Wuling Goblin was, it could not compare to the stone monster under the Seven-Star Dojo. Back then, it was thanks to the heaven-reverence stone statue that they were able to deal with the stone golem. That was a material from a great world, and the stone golem was incredibly powerful. In the end, the heaven-reverence stone statue was shattered before they were able to deal with the stone golem. A piercing sky demon Venerable is already hard enough to deal with. Now there's another Wuling Goblin. Oh well, the Wuling Goblin is a stone demon formed from a mountain ridge. It absorbs the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and its earth elemental energy is indescribable. My natal power also contains the supreme power of the earth element. It can completely suppress the Wuling Goblin and then completely take over its body. I can't just kill it. A big goblin like this can help me deal with the Xinyuan Empire and Doichi more easily. I can't kill it. After pondering for a while, Zhang Xian focused his attention on his perfect vision. His vision constantly penetrated the dark golden palace. There were 4 big goblins guarding the palace. In the depths, 2 middle-aged big goblins appeared vaguely in front of his vision. They must be the piercing sky demon Venerable and the Wuling Goblin. First, it was the Wuling Goblin, who was releasing an obvious earth elemental demonic aura, which attracted Su Fang's attention. The Wuling Goblin was dressed in a yellow robe, unlike the big goblins who were wearing armor, helmets, and holding weapons. He was a burly man in a yellow robe. At first glance, it was obvious that he had divine strength and was a martial arts expert. Next to him was the piercing sky demon Venerable. Compared to the Wuling Goblin, the piercing sky demon Venerable was dressed in silver armor. He did not look burly, but the silver armor made him look like a human cultivator instead of a big goblin. Coincidentally, the Wuling Goblin spoke. Brother Heavenspan, humans have invaded our continent recently, and I heard that they killed quite a few experts. Even the Crow King continent has been stirred up. I wonder which human power would have the guts to do such a thing. The reason I came here today is to discuss whether or not we should use the excuse of capturing human cultivators as an excuse to swallow up the surrounding demon kings. When the time comes, we'll become the most powerful rulers of this territory. The piercing sky demon Venerable immediately said, I have the same idea. The surrounding demon kings are all very cocky. Other than Huanjin, this king is wary of their alliance. I have not touched them all these years because I have no excuse. You have to know that we demon kings are all allies. Once we seize territory on a large scale, it will attract other demon kings to seize territory. It seems like you and I have the same idea. As for the human cultivator who barged into our continent a while ago, we don't have the time to look for him. We will use this as an excuse to deal with the demon kings around us, especially the demon king between us. We will open up a path between our territories. This large piece of land will become our territory, and all the demons will have to pay tribute to us. Ha ha! The 2 big goblin kings laughed heartily in the depths of the hall. After that, there was no more movement. Su Fang sensed the surrounding big goblin formations. Some of the big goblins were even tree demons. They were probably experts under the Wuling Goblin. It was an earth-type big goblin, and its experts were mostly stone monsters and tree demons. After a few days, Su Fang secretly left the formation. After leaving the piercing sky demon world, Su Fang heaved a sigh of relief. He went to a forest far away and released the 9-headed demon king, Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie. When the 9-headed demon king heard the plan of the 2 demon kings, he knew that these demon kings were actually fighting each other in the dark. Everyone wanted more territory. The piercing sky demon Venerable's territory was already 10 times that of a normal big goblin, but it was still not satisfied. The woolen goblin was the same. If these two big goblins broke through their territories and formed a large piece of land, there was no doubt that they would become the most powerful force in the Demon Cavern continent. The few of them went to the forest to rest. Su Zhenhua suggested, "Master, we have to plan this operation well. There are more than 20,000 big goblins and 2 big goblins." Su Fang nodded. "Indeed, we have to plan it well. The Piercing Sky Demon World is not very big, but it covers the entire mountain range and valleys. Especially the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable subordinates, they are all around the mountain range. However, if we use the Undying Tortoise to attack the Piercing Sky Demon World, the surrounding big goblins will immediately attack. Let's follow Master's plan. I will openly bring experts and step into the Piercing Sky Demon World to visit the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable." The 9-headed Demon King said, "The Piercing Sky Demon Venerable will definitely receive us grandly. When that happens, most of the experts will gather together. The Undying Tortoise will descend from the sky and attack the Piercing Sky Demon World. The entire barrier will be destroyed instantly, and all the big goblins will be severely injured. We will then work together to deal with the 2 big goblins, and let the brute force Demon King lead the other big goblins to deal with the big goblin under the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable. This way we will have a greater chance of success." Li Haojie also spoke his mind in detail. "Brother Fang, remember when you and I were fighting the immortal toad, it escaped. In the end, you said that if the immortal toad did not have the speed, it would be suppressed by you. If the Undying Tortoise smashes the Piercing Sky Demon World and presses all the big goblin underground, they will not be able to move for a short period of time. Then, can we take the opportunity to suppress them? If the woolen goblin is pressed under the Undying Tortoise, it will protect the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable immediately. It will then use its Earth Elemental ability to rescue the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable from the Undying Tortoise in the shortest time possible. Then we will suppress the woolen goblin first. This way, the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable will be pressed down by the Undying Tortoise, and will need some time to escape." "Alright, it's decided then." The more people there were, the more ideas there were. Such a difficult problem was suddenly solved. However, a plan was a plan, and an action was an action. It was still full of unpredictable changes. The few of them headed back in the direction they came from, and increased their speed. When they arrived at the edge of the Demon Cavern continent, they released the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda, and a door appeared in the sky. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The brute force Demon King led the big goblin through the door. Half a day later, the Purple Wind Serpent, the Luo Shan King, and more than 5,000 big goblins had arrived. Most of the big goblins' strength had recovered, but some of the more severely injured big goblin were unable to recover. After all, they had been smashed by the Undying Tortoise. Even if they did not die, they would have been crushed into meat patties. Su Fang wanted each big goblin to release an oppressive aura. Then, Su Fang, Su Zhenhua, and Li Haojie would enter the empty bag, and the 9-headed Demon King would wear it on his waist. In an instant, thousands of demons followed the 9-headed Demon King and the brute force Demon King into the continent, flying towards the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable's territory. Half a month later, just as they were about to enter the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable's territory, a big goblin flew out from the depth. It was the experts sent by the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable to welcome the 9-headed Demon King. It seemed like the strong would be able to survive anywhere and be put in an important position. A few days later, they were about to enter the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable's territory. When they were about to enter the central region, the 9-headed Demon King personally communicated with the Piercing Sky Demon Venerable, ordering the brute force Demon King and the 5,000 big goblins to stay in the forest and wait for orders. With so many experts, the 9-headed Demon King thought that he was here to snatch the territory. The nine-headed Demon King led the purple Feng and a dozen other powerful big goblins into the depths of the territory. Half a day later, they arrived at the mountain range where the piercing sky demon world was. Haha, welcome, Brother Nine-Headed. Brother Wuling is also here as a guest. Welcome, welcome. The piercing sky demon Venerable was clad in silver armor. He was not even 40 years old, and he looked very handsome. He personally led the Wuling Goblin and many other big goblins to welcome them in the air. After the two parties met, they swaggered into the piercing sky demon world. Flying in the piercing sky demon world openly and sneaking in secretly were two different things. Floating in the air, it gave people the feeling that the piercing sky demon world was no different from the human cultivation dojos. It had the scenery and spiritual chi. The only difference was that the world was filled with demonic chi. Arriving at the central array formation, the big goblin lined up to welcome them into the Golden Palace. The big goblin served them cups of fresh blood, which naturally belonged to human cultivators. There were also plates of steaming human brains. The nine-headed Demon King, the piercing sky demon Venerable, and the Wuling Goblin chatted and laughed. After a few words, they drank a cup of fresh blood or swallowed the brains. Demons were demons after all. They all looked like humans, but deep down, they were bloodthirsty and ferocious animals. Chapter 740. The air in the hall was filled with the smell of blood. The nine-headed Demon King, the Tongtian monster Venerable, and the Wuling Goblin gobbled up the meat and drank the blood. From time to time, they would talk about the happenings in the immortal melody world. At night, the Tongtian monster Venerable ordered his big goblin subordinates to gather at the center of the array. They would enter the open space in front of his palace and hold a grand banquet. While they were waiting, the nine-headed Demon King and the purple Feng led a dozen powerful big goblin subordinates to rest in a nearby castle. In fact, they were secretly observing the palace from afar. Big Goblin kept swarming over. They were all big goblins of the feather transformation realm. Their numbers were increasing, and they all looked human. The sky was getting dark. The nine-headed Demon King sent a telepathic message to his empty bag. Master, the Tongtian monster Venerable and the Wuling Goblin subordinates are close to 10,000 strong. I estimate that only 10,000 big goblin are gathered here. Although Su Fang was hiding in an empty bag, he could still sense the periphery when he used his Great Perfection stage ability. Let's attack at the moment the gathering starts. If we are together with the heaven-reaching demon Venerable, we will also be severely injured by the undying tortoise when the time comes. The nine-headed Demon King and the purple Feng widened their eyes and stared at the palace from the castle. The palace was filled with big goblin. If there was no demonic aura, it would seem that a powerful force was gathering at the palace. Master, it's about time. The sky darkened, and the array was filled with countless jewels and treasure chi. The nine-headed Demon King suddenly held his breath. Su Fang immediately appeared from his empty bag and communicated with the Jade Wall. He then activated the power of the realm and his natal divine power, turning into a ray of light that sucked the nine-headed Demon King, the purple Feng and the other big goblin into his palm. Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie did the same. Su Fang was left alone. He condensed the demonic aura left behind by the nine-headed Demon King and the other big goblin into Wuji Doppelganger, so that the demonic aura could be maintained in the castle for a while. After a few breaths of time, he reached the depths of the spell formation, where he performed a hand seal to enter the ground. At the same time, he raised his power to its peak and summoned the Starlight Sword. His consummate ability allowed him to sense the entire heaven-span demon realm. They could see more than 10,000 big goblin in the Skirich Demon Supremacy's palace. Thousands of big goblins were watching from the periphery of the array formation. When he extended his senses to the sky again, he saw the immortal light of the divine image Jade Annulus spitting out the huge, undying tortoise. In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, the clouds in the sky were shaken apart. A black cloud seemed to have been separated from the sea of clouds and was about to lose its center of gravity, plummeting straight down towards the heaven-span demon realm. The undying tortoise shook the air so much that sparks almost ignited. In the blink of an eye, the stars above the heaven-span demon realm were covered in black clouds of fire. In fact, this burning cloud was the undying tortoise. At this moment, the brute force demon king also led thousands of big goblin towards the heaven-reaching demon venerable's territory. Rumble crack, crack. Above the heaven-span demon realm, the burning cloud of fire smashed into the center of the heaven-span demon realm's array formation. The undying tortoise was almost a quarter of the heaven-span demon realm's surface area. It couldn't cover the entire barrier, but it accurately smashed the center of the array formation. And the entire heaven-span demon realm's array formation also shattered. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A hole was blasted in the center of the array formation, and one could vaguely see it. As for the undying tortoise's shell, as well as its body and surroundings, it was filled with a destructive force formed by the impact of the terrifying aura. The magnitude of this force kept increasing, and most of the remaining array formations around it started to collapse completely. At this moment, the central array formation of the heaven-span demon venerable, as well as some of the surrounding areas, were crushed under the undying tortoise's body. Just like the old nine-headed city, it was reduced to ruins under the shocking impact of the impact. The impact of the destructive force was still crushing and devouring the outer array formation step by step. The undying tortoise's surroundings were reduced to ruins by the impact of the destructive force. The mountains were also reduced to dust. One could imagine how terrifying the impact of the undying tortoise's descent from the sky was. Boom, boom. The ground under the undying tortoise was still shattered and shaking. One could see how many big goblin could not be controlled and were squashed by the undying tortoise into the ruins and rock. They wailed in pain and did not know what was happening. Boom. A mysterious yellow light was quickly approaching the surface from the depths of the ground. Su Fong released his great perfection ability. He held the starry daylight sword in his right hand, and a mysterious yellow door appeared in his left palm. As the surroundings were shaking and the destructive force spread, he was also affected. But fortunately, he was prepared this time and used his defense to protect himself well. Everything was being destroyed in the shaking, but Su Fongda's great perfection ability was locked in one direction. The moment the undying tortoise smashed down, he had been paying attention to the heaven-span demon venerable and the wooling goblin. Although at that moment, the heaven-span demon venerable sensed that the array formation was shaking, he did not seem to think much of it. In the end, when he sensed that something was wrong, he was smashed into the ground by the undying tortoise like all the big goblin. He was severely injured by the impact. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. They immediately charged towards the heaven-span demon venerable and the wooling goblin. Su Fong released the nine-headed demon king and the other big goblin and immediately ordered them to deal with the big goblin. He, Su Zhenhua, and Li Haojie flew a few feet before they felt a terrifying demonic aura exploding. With his great perfection ability, he saw the heaven-span demon venerable releasing the power of an array formation. He brought along many big goblin to form a space and started attacking the undying tortoise. Su Fong's gaze shifted to the side. The wooling goblin brought along some of its subordinates and released their aura in a panic. They created a tunnel under the undying tortoise. They probably wanted to rush out first. The wooling goblin's speed is astonishing. If it escapes and helps the heaven-span demon venerable, we don't have much confidence in suppressing the two big goblins together. Let's go to the ground to ambush and suppress the wooling goblin first. It has the power of the earth. If it escapes underground, we won't be able to catch up. Su Fong, Su Zhenhua, and Li Haojie communicated with each other. He activated his fastest speed and rushed towards the Wooling Goblin. In his senses, the Wooling Goblin quickly turned back into its original form. It was also injured, but it was not as strong as the Heavenspan demon Venerable. As its original form, the Wooling Goblin was a dark golden rock that was about 10 feet long. Its body was flat, and it shuttled through the ruins under the undying tortoise. Its speed was astonishing, comparable to a feather transformation realm expert flying in the air. Fortunately, Su Fang was one step ahead of time and flew out first. He spread his arms and released a shocking aura along with Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie at the position where the Wooling Goblin was about to escape from the ground. Su Zhenhua used the Yuan Refining Immortal Pearl as the source and used the Emperor's Seal. He grabbed a large number of golden seals and waited for the Wooling Goblin to fly out. Li Haojie used the Yuan Suppressing Demon Transformation Heavenly Book. Shackles of seals were stored in the void under the control of the Tao artifact. Less than 2 breaths later, when the Wooling Goblin rushed out of the ground, Su Fang found that the Wooling Goblin had sensed a threat and suddenly jumped to the other side. "You can still run." He sent a thought to Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie. The 2 experts flashed towards the ground. And in a breath, Su Fang was already 10 feet away. Looking down, there seemed to be a slightly vibrating dust aura. The aura in his hand suddenly suppressed a white blade and stabbed towards the ground. Hula! Kacha! The white blade turned into a white light without any terrifying aura, but after flying out, it immediately stabbed into the ground. Clang! The white light was the bloodless starry daylight sword. When it stabbed into the ground, it was as fast as lightning. But when it stabbed into the ground, it encountered an incomparably sturdy 5 fingers and produced a deafening sound of metal clashing. When this sound appeared, only the hilt of the starry daylight sword was left above the ground. Then, boom boom, the ground on both sides of the hilt suddenly exploded. On one side there was a dark golden demonic hand, and on the other side there was also a large hand, but this time it was made of stone. The ground exploded again. As the starry daylight sword shattered, it suddenly bulged and revealed a stone head. It was a black stone head with some golden aura. Part of the starry daylight sword stabbed into the stone, about half a foot deep. This showed that the stone was very sturdy. The rock suddenly roared, and a pitch-black stone man stood up from the ruins. This was the resurrection of a giant. At this moment, Su Zhenhua was not idle. He immediately used the sacred Emperor Divine Yuan Scripture's golden runes. While the stone man had just stood up, it was still covered in rubble and dust. Tens of thousands of runes wrapped around it, especially its legs and arms. Another young expert unleashed a blood-colored Tao item's divine aura, which transformed into mysterious runes that covered the stone man's body. Supreme Imperial Might, submit? Su Zhenhua's arms shook and his feet stepped into the air. The golden energy wrapped around the stone man's body pressed it to the ground, wanting to make it kneel. Crack! Crack! But the stone man only moved a few times and trembled for a moment before it was still able to endure. Its body began to emit terrifying crackling sound. What a powerful Wooling Goblin! Even with my Tao item's power, I can't surpass it. Su Zhenhua let out a few beads of sweat. Careful! Li Haojie began to chant some blood-colored Tao runes, and they fell on the stone man one by one. Each Tao rune blood seal covered the stone man's body, adding a bit more blood-colored power, suppressing the stone man's fierce demonic chi. This was the method of a demon hunter. As expected, when dealing with demons, they were completely different from ordinary cultivators. In terms of power, Li Haojie naturally wasn't Su Zhenhua's match. But in terms of suppressing demons, even 10 Su Zhenhuas would be inferior. The stone man's swaying eyes glared at the 2 experts. You damnable humans are actually so despicable to sneak attack this king. Once this king struggles out, he'll definitely turn you into meatballs. Li Haojie curled his lip and sneered, Wooling Goblin, you won't have that chance. Vajra body. The Wuling Goblin released a dazzling demonic light. Its legs began to absorb the surrounding rock. Some of the light caused the rocks on the ground to constantly move closer to it. It was like a magnet that could control any rock around it. Even the ground was under its control. What a powerful big goblin! With such power, even a large power won't be able to suppress you. Su Zhenhua's monarch seal was able to suppress the Wuling Goblin at first. However, as Black Ridge Demon King absorbed more and more rocks to strengthen his body, he soon seemed to have turned into a giant stone man. Because of that, the monarch seal's suppression was weakened. Fortunately, only the Wuling Goblin's legs could absorb the rocks. Its upper body was shackled by the blood-colored void. Any rocks that were sucked in were unable to get close to it. Brother Fong, are you done? Li Haojie was also struggling. He was still calm, but he still urgently looked up. Titan Divine Palm. A human figure appeared. His body was upside down. Surrounded by a Tao item, his 5 fingers clawed out. His 5 fingers released a dazzling golden light that merged with the Tao item. He grabbed the Wuling Goblin's head. Bang! His attack was as fast as lightning. His 5 fingers grabbed the Wuling Goblin's head. Then the door in his palm released the Tao item's divine aura that poured into the Wuling Goblin's body. Tao item! The Wuling Goblin looked in despair at its feet that were separated from the ground. Chapter 741. It seemed that, in the next moment, the Wuling Goblin would be sucked into Su Fang's palm. Seeing this, Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie let out a sigh of relief. With the 3 of them working together, they had absolute confidence in suppressing the Wuling Goblin. Humans, this king won't let you succeed so easily. The Wuling Goblin began its desperate counterattack. Blood poured out of its eyes and it spat out a bloody energy. Mountain crumbles and earth splits. Mountain crumbles and earth splits. Seeing that their attack had failed, Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie didn't dare to be careless. They looked around at the bloody energy that had disappeared. Crack! Little did they know. There was no movement in the surroundings, but the Wuling Goblin's body made a shocking sound. When the 3 of them looked at it, the Wuling Goblin's body began to crack, starting from its chest and spreading to the rest of its body. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. In less than 2 breaths' time, no one was able to react. Crack! Boom! In less than 3 breaths' time, the Wuling Goblin's body shattered into pieces. Li Haojie and Su Zhenhua's power also shattered along with it. This! Su Zhenhua couldn't believe it. Li Haojie's expression froze. Brother Fong, we can't give it a chance to breathe. This kind of stone goblin will shatter itself. Once a piece escapes, it can start anew. It can't run. World energy, come in. In reality, Su Fong was fully prepared. How could it let the Wuling Goblin escape? A large amount of control energy exploded around the Wuling Goblin. The Tao item door in its palm was 10 times more dazzling. Hua hua hua! The Wuling Goblin's head was sucked into the door in the blink of an eye. Following that, the rest of the stone goblin's body was sucked into the Tao item door. Not a single piece was left behind. Whoosh! Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie also withdrew their power. Only then could they relax. Bang! Bang! Not far behind them, there were a few explosions in the ruins. Some tree demons and stone monsters, which were naturally Wuling Goblin's subordinates, tried to escape from this world with heavy injuries and fear. Su Fang's eyes burned with passion. Su Zhenhua, you go and deal with them. If you can't capture them alive, kill them. These big goblins' power is special. Even if you kill them, you have to leave their bodies for me. Then you'll be in charge of dealing with the big goblin. When we encounter the piercing heaven monster venerables, we might need your help. The latter activated the might of the Tao artifact and released the Golden Emperor's seal. Like a great general, he charged towards the dozen or so big goblin. Su Fang and Li Haojie immediately rushed to the center. When they arrived above the undying tortoise, they immediately saw a big goblin rushing over to provide support. Under the lead of some big goblin, they released their Dharma treasures or the power of their demonic bodies to attack the undying tortoise. Some big goblin even tried to move the undying tortoise away. There were also more than 3,000 big goblins surrounding the undying tortoise and attacking it from different angles. The undying tortoise was extremely tough. With so many big goblin attacking it from the surroundings, it was completely fine. It lazily opened its eyes, and no big goblin dared to approach it. Even the piercing heaven monster venerables would be bitten to death in an instant if they went in front of it. If the undying tortoise could be killed by a few thousand big goblin, then 100,000 years ago, it would have killed its way into many continents. By then, it would have been killed by so many big goblin. Fortunately, some big goblin in front were being defeated, and the brute force demon king led thousands of big goblin to transform into its true form. It activated its Dharma treasures and various demonic auras, killing the nearby big goblin and forcing them to flee. Li Haojie formed a seal, piercing heaven monster venerable's aura. Su Fang looked around and suddenly saw hundreds of big goblin gathered near the undying tortoise. He said in surprise, "There's no need to sense it. The piercing heaven monster venerable's aura is in the center of those big goblin. It seems like it's either recovering or just escape. Anyway, it's conserving its energy. Kill." The two of them charged forward at the same time. Protect the great king. The surrounding great demons of different shapes and sizes immediately came forward to block them. Even if the undying tortoise suppressed more than 10,000 big goblin, the piercing heaven monster venerables still had close to 10,000 big goblin subordinates scattered around the mountain range. They were constantly attacking, and in less than half an hour, they would all be here to support them. However, how could these big goblins stop Su Fang and Li Haojie? In addition, the brute force demon king led thousands of big goblin to attack from behind. They were able to kill all the big goblin without any resistance. These big goblins could not unleash their true strength at all. On the other side, the nine-headed demon king led the purple Fengjun and other experts to push back the big goblin step by step. They were moving towards the center of the mountain range. The two of them dodged the attacks of the big goblin and arrived at the place where thousands of big goblin were. In the center, they indeed saw a heaven-defying blood-colored demonic aura. That is, Li Haojie was first surprised, then shocked. It turned out that the piercing heaven monster venerables was eating the corpse of a big goblin. This big goblin's vitality seemed to be very shocking. Its entire body was sealed, which was why the piercing heaven monster venerables was able to swallow it so easily. Li Haojie broke out in cold sweat. Brother Fang, the piercing heaven monster venerables is indeed not simple. It even knows how to seal such a big goblin with extraordinary vitality and is prepared to eat it at any time. Looking at its proficiency in the seals, it's not inferior to human experts. It's indeed powerful. The piercing heaven monster venerables was able to recover from its injuries in such a short time. This is the difference between it and the nine-headed demon king, the brute force demon king, and the wooling goblin. Su Fang nodded. If it did not have such means to recover from its injuries quickly, it would be similar to suppressing the wooling goblin. It would just be more difficult. But now we have to fight with the piercing heaven monster venerables, whose strength is almost normal. I'm afraid it won't be as easy as dealing with the wooling goblin. At this moment, thousands of big goblins suddenly flew up. The piercing heaven monster venerables, who had swallowed the big goblin in the center, suddenly revealed a ruthless look. Its silver armor was dyed red with blood. It glanced at Su Fang and Li Haojie. "The two of you have suppressed the wooling goblin. You're next," Li Haojie shouted calmly. The piercing heaven monster venerables was evil. The nine-headed demon king and the brute force demon king have actually defected to you humans. So you came to see me this time to suppress me. So what if that's the case? Some of you and the Wooling Goblin's 20,000 strong experts have been suppressed by the Undying Tortoise and have been severely injured and have lost their abilities. Su Fang also said, there are less than 10,000 big goblins that can be used now. How can you be our match? I advise you to quickly submit to us. Otherwise, if you struggle, you will be the one suffering in the end. The piercing heaven monster venerables looked at the Undying Tortoise. This is my territory. I won't allow you to be so presumptuous. But you are really powerful. What surprised this king the most was the Undying Tortoise. You can even suppress it. The Undying Tortoise suddenly roared angrily. Your master tortoise is cooperating with the humans. What do you mean by suppressing a little brat like you? If you dare to come in front of me, I will bite you into pieces. A demon like you who defected to the humans. The piercing heaven monster venerables looked at the two of them fiercely. Then, he ordered the surrounding big goblin, kill them! Some of these big goblins were very powerful. They had reached the level of the brute force demon king. One by one, the big goblin led their experts and roared towards Su Fang and Li Haojie. Master! At this moment, the nine-headed demon king shot out a beam of demonic aura and rushed over to provide support. The brute force demon king knew that Su Fang was mainly dealing with the piercing heaven monster venerables. Thus, he also led a group of experts and rushed over from the back. Su Fang and Li Haojie took advantage of the fact that countless big goblin were rushing over to help and instantly flew into the sky. Suddenly, the perfected demon blood plate appeared under Su Fang's feet. The blood ghost perfected demon turned into a bloody light and appeared. Once it appeared, a special poisonous gas made Su Fang and Li Haojie uneasy. Li Haojie looked at the perfected demon blood plate. Brother Fang, what are you doing? Recently, I have comprehended another superpower from the Heavenly Demon Book. It attacks the young infant and primordial spirit. It is called the Heavenly Demon's Voice. The Heavenly Demon's Voice can only be used by a true demon who has reached the level of the Lord of Five Poisons. Fortunately, I have the perfected demon blood plate. I can barely use the Heavenly Demon's Voice for a short period of time. However, I need the support of a strong young infant. Brother Li, pay attention to the movements of the piercing heaven monster venerables. This person's strength is very terrifying. He is definitely stronger than the immortal toad. His strength might be similar to sorcerer Heiyun. After giving his instructions, Su Fang wanted the blood ghost perfected demon to release the poisonous gas and rush towards the hundreds of big goblin alone. Under Li Haojie's protection, Su Fang sat cross-legged on the perfected demon blood plate and shot out a beam of bloody light. Then, the perfected demon blood plate buzzed and some burning demonic patterns appeared. The demonic patterns entered Su Fang's glabella and entered his divine aperture. The young infant in his divine aperture suddenly boiled and split into thousands of young infants. At this moment, the nine-headed demon king killed his way into the big goblin and attracted hundreds of big goblin to fight. The brute force demon king also brought hundreds of big goblin to the back of the piercing heaven monster venerables and was entangled by a portion of the big goblin. Some of the remaining big goblin were attracted by the blood ghost perfected demon, while some continued to rush towards Su Fang and Li Haojie. As for the piercing heaven monster venerables, he brought a few very powerful big goblin and was controlling the situation in the void. It seemed like the piercing heaven monster venerables was also summoning the various big goblin in his territory. The Heavenly Demon's Voice is built on the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal. No wonder after cultivating the Heavenly Demon Book for so long, I only obtained the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal. At first, I thought that the external Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal was a young nascent cultivation technique. I didn't expect it to be a young nascent attack. The Heavenly Demon's Voice is built on the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal. First, the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal will split into a young nascent soul. Then, it will use the perfected demon's blood plate and the heavenly demon book's special demon Tao mental cultivation technique to create a chaotic and decadent demonic sound. It will first disturb the enemy's yang nascent soul and then turn into a sound wave with demonic chi as its main component, attacking the enemy's yang nascent soul. Sound is formless. The heavenly demon's voice is built on this kind of illusory attack. This is a peerless yang nascent mystical ability that the enemy will find hard to defend against. No wonder the fat immortal once told me that if I cultivate the heavenly demon book to the extreme, my yang nascent soul will surpass most immortals in the great world. Su Fang was constantly forming seals. Illusory demonic chi shadows flew out from his head. Brother Fang, they're here. At this moment, Li Haojie looked towards the piercing heaven monster venerables. There were about 500 to 600 big goblin in front of them. They were about 100 meters away from being surrounded. Heavenly demon disintegration, yang nascent soul flight, soul-sucking demonic voice. With a whoosh, a large amount of black demonic flames flew out from Su Fang. These demonic flames were separated from Su Fang's yang nascent soul. There were more than 1,000 of them. These yang nascent souls were quickly drawn into the big goblin army. The pitiful big goblin's greatest advantage over humans was its physical body. However, its cultivation was less than 1% of a human's. Furthermore, the yang nascent soul was a power that it was difficult for them to possess. The 1,000 illusory demonic yang nascent souls looked illusory, but they were real. They floated around the big goblin. After forming seals, demonic light exploded. They opened their mouths together and let out strange, low sounds of sizzling, chirping, and whining. These sounds surged towards the big goblin. They were originally sound waves, but under Su Fang's gaze, the sounds turned into distorted demonic patterns. They formed a roaring state and drew into the big goblin's head. Kiki. Seeing that there were only a few dozen feet left, some big goblin were about to charge over. Suddenly, these big goblin hugged their heads in pain. Some fell down and struggled. Blood bubbled out from their eyes, noses, ears, and mouths. Chapter 742. It was their primordial spirits that were spurting out blood. Their primordial spirits were shaken by the waves of demonic runes, and their primordial spirits were about to leave their bodies. Under such shaking, the big goblin could no longer control its primordial spirits, let alone its body. As its primordial spirits were shaken by the waves of demonic runes, hundreds of big goblins were crying out in pain in midair. Li Haojie was guarding at the side. When he saw this, he clapped his hands and exclaimed, "Impressive, impressive!" Of course, when the 9-headed Demon King, the Brute Force Demon King, and the other big goblins saw this, they also smiled excitedly. Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda. Instantly, Su Fang created the 6 Paths portal and appeared above hundreds of big goblin. The Tongtian Demon Venerable was shocked. He did not expect his army to be stopped by Su Fang in an instant. When he saw the 6 Paths portal, he immediately understood Su Fang's next move. He waved his fist and shouted, "Not good, destroy that superpower." A few powerful big goblins beside him flew towards the 6 Paths portal. Li Haojie also flew over at the same time and released the power of a Tao artifact in midair. He condensed a few blood-red flames and shot out rays of sword radiance to stop the big goblin from passing through. The 6 Paths portal opened. After absorbing hundreds of big goblin at the same time, the latter followed the former. Even if they regained their senses, their primordial spirits were weak, and their consciousness was not clear. They could not control their bodies to resist. They could only watch as they were sucked into the portal. In less than half an hour, Su Fang kept the true demonic blood plate and suppressed the big goblin completely. In a flash, he passed by the true demonic blood ghosts that were fighting with the big goblin. Chi. Although the Tongtian Demon Venerable had lost most of his subordinates, there was not a single big goblin around him. When he saw Su Fang charging towards him, the Tongtian demon venerable rushed towards Su Fang like a shooting star. Just in time. You are the divine arms spirit monkey. I also have a paragon body. As the heavenly piercing demon venerable charged over, Su Fangda realized that the heavenly piercing demon venerable had not used many divine abilities and was only using his fist. He immediately swung his arms, and the 5 fingers of his right hand exploded with an unparalleled aura. Just as he exerted his strength, the sky-piercing demon venerable charging at him like a meteor. Bang! The power of the fist and the palm collided with each other like a landslide. Chi. Su Fang's palm power covered his fist. At this moment it seemed like it could crush the heavenly piercing monster venerable's fist and disperse its power. However, the aura around his body suddenly gave rise to a burst of fiery astral energy. The Tongtian demon venerable sneered, "Since you know that this king is a divine arms spirit monkey, you still dare to compete with me in terms of physical strength. You are interesting, but you are not a match for this king." Accompanied by the disdainful smile of the heavenly demon venerable, Su Fang's fiery aura exploded even more fiercely. Then, with a whoosh, Su Fang was sent flying backward. As it turned out, the sparks were not caused by his aura, but by the friction between his aura and the god power of the heaven-span demon exalted. Bang! While Su Fang was still retreating, in the air in front of him, the shock wave formed by the exchange of blows between the two almost shattered the space there. He felt an intense pain in his right arm. What a powerful Tongtian demon venerable! His fist is even harder than mine. As expected of the divine arms spirit monkey. His physical strength is indeed stronger than the 9-headed demon king and the brute force demon king. Only the Wuling goblin can be compared to him. Crackle! Who knew, while his body was still retreating, he suddenly heard a movement on his left. Su Fang glanced over from the corner of his eyes. It was the heavenly venerable monster. Its 5 fingers shattered the air. Before Su Fang could strengthen his defense, it unexpectedly grabbed the left side of his body. Poof! First, his defense was broken. Then, a piece of bloody skin was taken away by the Tongtian demon venerable. Blood spurted out and Su Fang's face immediately turned pale. Strength and speed, your overall strength is not as good as mine. Your advantage is your young infant. As long as I continue to attack you, you will not be able to activate that demonic Dharma treasure. The Tongtian demon venerable threw the bloody skin away. Without any advantage, no one can save you today. You are indeed very strong. Su Fang was still in a state of shock, and could not stop his body. However, he looked at the Tongtian demon venerable calmly. But when I use my true strength, you will regret it. I will not give you the chance to use that young infant technique. The latter was in the air again, and rushed over with the speed of teleportation. It was really fast. Su Fang also started to use all his abilities. His world power, heavenly sage tyrant body, great perfection perception, and especially his destiny artifact. One had to know that he did not use his destiny artifact just now. The Tongtian demon venerable grabbed a shocking demonic light in his fist and chased in front of Su Fang. This time, I will destroy you. Is that so? A mystic yellow light and void aura were added together. Su Fang saw his opponent's fist coming at him with a rolling aura and a large amount of astral winds. He saw the spatial airflow being torn apart by the astral winds. What a terrifying power! Bang! This time, Su Fang still used the power of his 5 fingers to cover the fist from the Tongtian demon venerable. The Tongtian demon venerable looked around. You are not my match. I heard that the Great Perfection Physique is a cultivation technique created by ancient human cultivators. However, the demon race is born with a stronger physique than humans. This king has cultivated a lot of divine abilities and stimulated his physique to the extreme. You are too stupid. You are not my match at all. Thump, thump. After saying that, his fist was about to send Su Fong flying again. But Su Fong's 5 fingers still clasped his fist and collided with the fist even more fiercely. He actually resisted the fist from the Tongtian demon Venerable. You! At this moment, the Tongtian demon Venerable could not laugh anymore. It used its fist to directly touch Su Fong's 5 fingers. Through the many supernatural powers it had cultivated and the sensing ability it had grasped, it felt that Su Fong's skin and strength exuded a power that it could not suppress. This is the power of my destiny artifact. My physique has reached the great perfection physique. In terms of strength, I am indeed not as strong as you, the Tongtian demon Venerable. However, with such power, you cannot completely suppress me. Bang! After a stalemate, both of them were pushed back at the same time. The Tongtian demon Venerable was surprised. You are very strong. This king now understands why you could suppress the 9-headed demon king and the undying tortoise. Su Fong mocked back. If I did not have this ability, how would I have come to your Tongtian demon realm? However, you are stronger. You were severely injured by the undying tortoise, but you were able to recover in such a short time. If you did not have this ability, you would have been suppressed by me. The undying tortoise, oh, the undying tortoise. This king could not compete with it physically, but you could suppress it physically. However, you want to suppress this king? Dream on. In this small world, this king is like you humans. He has mastered many divine abilities. Let me see how strong you are. The latter's demonic aura swept up. With a sizzling sound, his silver armor vibrated. He left behind a shadow on the ground. He pushed the ferocious beast formed by his demonic aura to pounce on Su Fong and bite him. Fist of the Holy Venerable. Divine abilities. At this moment, Su Fong felt a shocking threat. If the head of the beast in front of him really bit him, only a Dao artifact defense could withstand it. Su Fong crossed his arms and took big steps forward. His entire body was covered with the Emperor's seal. His body turned into a big bow, and he immediately shot out a fist technique wave filled with fist shadows. For a moment, the two of them were locked in a stalemate in the sky. One side was the giant beast, and the other side was a large number of fist shadows. Boom! The two divine abilities collided, forming an impact that caused the airflow in the sky to churn downward. It swept up again, forming a mushroom and sparking aura. This aura suddenly spread out in all directions along with the final explosion of the two divine abilities. In the blink of an eye, it swallowed a large part of the sky. Su Fong and the Tongtian demon Venerable also dodged in time, leaving the sky in a state of destruction and burning. Human, you are indeed ridiculously strong. Divine Ghost Claw. The Tongtian demon Venerable's sinister eyes flashed. He attacked first again. It seemed like he already knew that Su Fong was a difficult opponent. He had to make the first move to gain the upper hand. The figure teleported over. When he opened his arms, he wore 3-foot-long claw gloves on his hands. They looked like the claws of some kind of monster that had been refined into a transcendent artifact by the Tongtian demon Venerable. Chi! Chi! Su Fong quickly dodged. The latter waved his sharp claws and clawed through the air. 10 cracks appeared in the space, leaving 10 1-foot-long black holes in the air. Black holes. The Tongtian demon Venerable was able to shatter space. Although it was small, it could break space. Only peerless experts could do this. Even Su Zhenhua couldn't do it. The two giants of the Xinyuan Empire, Heaven and Earth Elders, should be able to shatter space if they worked together. But the Tongtian demon Venerable did it alone. Could it be stronger than Heaven and Earth Elders working together? Of course, it couldn't be compared like that. Su Fong's great circle ability allowed him to see the entire process of the attack. It could shatter space and leave behind 10 black holes. This was the power of a heaven-piercing demon sovereign, combined with the god Ghost Claw, and a destructive force that focused on strength. It wasn't a divine ability that shattered space, but strength. The combination of the Tongtian demon venerable and a very outstanding transcendent artifact made the Tongtian demon venerable's destructive power several times stronger than before. This king has never been forced to use his full strength for so many years. Today, this king will settle the score with you properly. After a few moves, I'll tear you into pieces. The divine ghost claw made sounds of bones biting each other. After the Tongtian demon venerable roared, he teleported again. Opposite Su Fang, he flashed to the back. Seeing the Tongtian demon venerable coming again, he flashed again. As soon as he formed a dodging state, 10 sharp ghost claw with the aura of a transcendent artifact broke through the space in front of Su Fang. It seemed that even Su Fang and space were torn apart by the 10 sharp claws at the same time. Fortunately, Su Fang was fast and dodged in time. But looking at the 10 black holes left in space, the cold black holes were like the god of death in the depth. You're quite fast. Next time. The Tongtian demon venerable didn't wait for the 10 black holes to heal and chased after Su Fang again. The divine ghost claw was less than 30 feet away. Swish. However, Su Fang also began to counterattack at this time. Twice in a row, he saw how powerful the Tongtian demon venerable was. It was too terrifying. Since he knew the opponent's true strength, he could also go all out. Chi. 10 sharp claws pierced in front of Su Fang again. The space split from the top right and 10 cracks appeared in the space. Clang. It seemed to be 30 feet away, but this kind of overbearing attack could kill people within 100 feet. When the divine ghost claw's attack pierced a 1-meter-long crack in space, Su Fang swung his right hand and stabbed out a white light, intercepting a few of the sharp claws from the front. The metal roar shook Su Fang and the Tongtian demon venerable's hair. With a transcendent artifact and strength, both sides would naturally be affected in this kind of battle. The Tongtian demon venerable's body was full of scattered demonic aura, as if it was going to transform from a human body into a human body. He was shocked. You're only at the 9th level of the catastrophe realm. You can resist me with the extraordinary strength of the flying, immortal realm. If I didn't have this foundation, do you think I would deal with a powerful enemy like you, who even Doichi has a hard time? The two had no choice but to dodge at the same time. Under the control of the transcendent artifact, Su Fang was wary of the Tongtian demon venerable's attack. He shouted back, and the great perfection perception realm controlled the Tongtian demon venerable's movements. Chapter 743. Just as he expected, the sky-piercing venerable monster teleported again, his monster aura rampaging. Suddenly, 3 sky-piercing venerables appeared around Su Fang. Doppelganger Su Fangda was shocked. A big goblin who cultivated a divine ability could also use a doppelganger like a great divine ability. Doppelganger was difficult for even human experts to cultivate and control. Cultivators who could use doppelganger generally had to have a strong physical body, abundant true chi, and proficient divine ability to use doppelganger divine ability. For a sky-piercing venerable monster to have such a heaven-defying ability, it was truly shocking. Doppelganger that might be a threat to others, Su Fangda could instantly see which one was the main body with his perfect mastery ability. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 3 sky-piercing venerables clawed out at the same time. A white light shot out from Su Fang's hand. Clang! The starry daylight sword hit one of the god ghost claws. As expected, it was the main body. When it clashed with the god ghost claw's golden halberd, its power splashed everywhere. Originally, Su Fang's strength was not enough to contend with the sky-piercing venerable monster. But now, he had the starry daylight sword, and it was in the state of a natal magic treasure. He was actually at the same level as the sky-piercing venerable monster. He had just broken through to the 9th layer of catastrophe, but he did not expect to be able to fight such a powerful expert. The demon venerable that even the Tao Yi school couldn't do anything to was blocked by Su Fang in this part of the sky. Whoosh! The sky-piercing venerable monster was shocked. It seemed that this doppelganger was one of his trump cards, but Su Fang could easily see through the main body. How could he not be surprised? At this moment, he opened his mouth and spat out a bloody monster aura with astonishing poison. Poison aura and monster aura fused together. His hair shivered, and the starry daylight sword returned to his hand. When Su Fang saw the bloody monster aura surging towards him, he knew how terrifying this power was. Once infected, it would devour the body. Whoosh! At such a close distance, Su Fang could only dodge and attack. Attack, that was his choice. He spat out nether aura from around him. Kaka, the blood-colored demonic chi from the heaven-piercing venerable monster engulfed Su Fang. Unexpectedly, in an instant, everything in the surroundings began to freeze, turning into a silver-black evil ice that carried demonic chi. So you're a devil Tao cultivator. Skirich venerable monster took another step forward, his divine ghost claw about to shatter the ice surrounding Su Fang. Dang, the starry daylight sword would not allow it to easily reach its target and injure Su Fang. With a single thought, it pierced through the ice and struck the god-demon claw, forcing the heaven-reaching venerable monster to retreat. Your poison is powerful, but I have a way to neutralize it. You're a big goblin, but you're able to cultivate your divine ability to such a level. You're already extraordinary, but you can't even imagine what I'm capable of. Your demonic poison is powerful. Let me show you a truly powerful poison. Su Fang roared. After he made a hand seal, a large amount of blood-colored smoke rushed toward the sky-piercing demon venerable from the frozen space. The latter was the king of this area. Naturally, he didn't believe that he was no match for Su Fang in terms of poison. He also spat out his own blood-colored demonic poison. Sizzle! 2 types of poison energy, one evil energy and the other demonic poison, collided, fiercely trying to devour the other. After a series of sharp corrosion, Su Fang's blood hell wolf smoke not only didn't let the blood-colored demonic poison gain the upper hand, it even gradually suppressed it. However, it soon revealed the extraordinary power of the poison. The sky-piercing demon venerable was exhausted. He spat out even more demonic poison. He didn't believe that a demon king like him wouldn't be able to suppress a 9th-level calamity cultivator. Using evil to suppress evil. This was the method Su Fang had already thought of. Since the sky-piercing demon venerable's demonic poison was an innate ability, he also had to have a way to counter it. Fortunately, he had the night spirit sex blood hell wolf smoke. This evil energy was not from the devil Tao, nor was it from the monster Tao, nor was it from the righteous Tao. It was a very special energy of heaven and earth. He didn't expect it to be able to counter the monster Tao. In addition, there was the terrifying Yinming Qi of the devil Tao. With such a freezing ability, even the sky-piercing demon venerable couldn't compare. This kind of energy seemed easy to use, but in fact, it required countless years of cultivation to make one's true qi undergo a qualitative change and become a magical power. The blood hell wolf smoke, Yinming Qi, 9 Yang true qi, and the power of the world were all the same. The sky-piercing demon venerable's blood-colored poison gas was also cultivated. Most big goblin directly spit out demonic qi or poison, but the sky-piercing demon venerable fused demonic poison with his true qi. After a stalemate, the sky-piercing demon venerable used his clone to confuse Su Fang. However, he didn't expect Su Fang to see through it. The Yinming Qi turned into ice, making it difficult for the sky-piercing demon venerable to approach. Then, the sky-piercing demon venerable fused a large amount of demonic qi with the god ghost claw. This strange Tao artifact emitted an astonishing Dharma treasure flame. God Ghost Blade. The sky-piercing demon Venerable used his full strength to activate the God Ghost Claw. Its astonishing divine power and true chi fused with such a powerful divine weapon. Although it was afraid of the blood hell wolf smoke and the Yinming Qi, it originally planned to directly crush the two forces with its strength. The joints on its body crackled and the God Ghost Claw reached out. 10 destructive forces reached the peak of its divine power. Any magical power would be shattered under the pure power. The 10 sharp claws with astonishing demonic chi clawed at the space where the blood hell wolf smoke and the Yinming Qi were, leaving 10 fingerprints on the two forces. As soon as the cracks appeared, the power of the black hole crazily absorbed the blood hell wolf smoke and the Yinming Qi. This is the sky-piercing demon Venerable's strongest state. Not only did Su Fang retreat, but he also saw the scene where even the most powerful magical power would be shattered under absolute power. The sky-piercing demon Venerable was really too powerful. With such strength, it shattered the blood hell wolf smoke and the Yinming Qi. If it were elders heaven and earth, they could only use other magical powers to restrain the two forces. This was what human cultivators did. However, the demon race's method was just that simple. With their physical talents and dharma treasures, they could deal with the powerful magical powers of the humans. Of course, it was just that Su Fang's cultivation level was too low. If he had a certain cultivation level of the Yu transformation realm, his Yinming Qi and blood hell wolf smoke would not be something that the sky-piercing demon Venerable could easily crush. If that's the case, I didn't want to hurt you. I wanted to slowly exhaust my demonic chi and then suppress you. I can only deal with you like how I dealt with Purple Wind Lord. At this moment Su Fang felt that the sky-piercing demon Venerable was extremely powerful. Fortunately, he had the advantage of magical powers, and he still had many tricks that he had not used. He secretly paid attention to all the changes around him. The big goblin was fighting. If he could suppress the sky-piercing demon Venerable earlier, it would undoubtedly reduce the casualties on his side. He would also be able to suppress all the big goblin as soon as possible. Wuji Clone Fusion. First, he released more blood hell wolf smoke. At this moment, he activated Limitless Clone and added a lot of power to it, turning it into clones formed by the blood hell wolf smoke. Dozens of clones immediately surrounded the sky-piercing monster Venerable with the help of the blood hell wolf smoke when the sky-piercing monster Venerable charged over. He also activated the power of the world to control this large space. Unexpectedly, the sky-piercing demon Venerable was shocked. This is the Doichi Wuji Clone Fusion. I killed the Doichi experts and took their technique, the Wuji Clone Fusion, Lung Xiao said. He activated all the Wuji Clone Fusion and released the blood hell wolf smoke. Instantly, they pounced towards the sky-piercing demon Venerable. The sky-piercing demon Venerable obviously understood the Wuji Clone Fusion very well. Back then, I caught a few Doichi experts and forced them to tell me the Wuji Dao technique. I didn't expect you to cultivate the Wuji Clone Fusion to such a high level. You can even use it alone. But this is not enough. Pierce. Just as the great demon activated the God Ghost Claw to grab at the approaching clones of Wuji, he destroyed each one he touched. Su Fang suddenly flicked his finger. Under the protection of the power of the world and the Wuji Clone Fusion, while the sky-piercing demon Venerable's attention was focused on dealing with the Wuji Clone Fusion, a distorted ray of light suddenly shot out from the Wuji Clone Fusion and attacked the sky-piercing demon Venerable's back. Chi. This ray of light was extremely sharp. It first pierced through the silver armor on the sky-piercing demon Venerable's back. Then, when the sky-piercing demon Venerable looked uneasy, it pierced through his chest. It was the supreme assassination Dharma treasure, the Starry Daylight Sword. More Wuji Clone Fusion and the Netherworld Aura worked together. At this moment, they followed the Wuji Clone Fusion and attacked the sky-piercing demon Venerable. No matter how powerful a peerless big goblin was, if a Dharma treasure that had reached the pinnacle of the small world pierced through its body, it would instantly destroy everything in its body. Su Fang suddenly used the power of the world to increase his speed to a speed faster than teleportation. Boom! The sky-piercing demon Venerable's demonic aura exploded. His body started to transform. His human form disappeared, revealing a foot-long black fur. Gradually, his true form was revealed. He was the Divine Arms Spirit Monkey. You want to fight with your demonic body? He would not give him any chance. Suddenly, the Supreme Tao Artifact's divine might turned into a door and descended from the sky. Before the sky-piercing demon Venerable completely transformed into his true form, the door of the Tao Artifact's light and power landed on top of him. Bang! 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 Enveloped by the door's divine might, the sky-piercing demon Venerable ignored the starry daylight sword and did not force out this Dharma treasure. He just used his demonic aura to attack the Tao Artifact's divine might. However, no matter how powerful he was, could he shake the Tao Artifact? Of course not, especially when he was seriously injured. Su Fang shouted, "Accept your fate!" No. The sky-piercing demon Venerable's blood-red eyes and his demonic body were filled with burning flames. He wanted to resist. However, Su Fang's aura sucked the sky-piercing demon Venerable into the Tao Artifact's door. Fortunately, I can use my full strength to suppress the sky-piercing demon Venerable with my advantage. Together with the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, the Starry Daylight Sword, and the Divine Image Jade Annulus, I can suppress the sky-piercing demon Venerable. At this moment, the Tao Artifact's door disappeared from Su Fang's palm. The Starry Daylight Sword returned to Su Fang's hand. He turned around and released the Heavenly Demon Disintegration Seal. The voice of thunder boomed, "All Big Goblin, listen up! Your king, the sky-piercing demon Venerable, and the Wooling Goblin have been suppressed. If you still resist, you will die." The voice came at the right time. The brute force demon king was leading the big goblin and fighting against thousands of big goblins. However, when the big goblin heard that the Wooling Goblin and the sky-piercing demon Venerable had been suppressed, they did not dare to resist. The nine-headed demon king transformed into his true form. On the other side, he used his 9 heads to spit out poisonous gas to control 9 big goblins. Around him, there were more than 100 big goblins that were severely injured and restrained. Su Zhenhua and Li Haojie were also suppressing many big goblin in the other 2 directions. While Su Fang suppressed the 2 big goblin kings and intimidated all the big goblins, everyone unleashed more power and forced the big goblins to give up resisting. Su Fang activated his teleportation speed. With a flash of lightning, countless afterimages were formed. A Tao artifact door appeared above the big goblin and sucked a large number of big goblins into the Tao artifact. Some of the more powerful big goblins wanted to escape, but they were surrounded by the 9-headed demon king and the others. More than 10,000 big goblins have been suppressed. Half a day later, the ruins quieted down. Su Fang, Su Zhenhua, Li Haojie, the 9-headed demon king, the brute force demon king, and the other big goblins appeared around the undying turtle. The other areas were all suppressed. Many big goblins escaped, and they were too lazy to chase after them. Su Fang had suppressed more than 10,000 big goblins, and there were still many big goblins that were severely injured under the undying turtle. They were just waiting to be captured. Chapter 744. As the experts prepared, Su Fang used his Tao artifact's power to envelop the undying tortoise. He first sucked the undying tortoise into the Tao artifact, revealing the ground that had been crushed into ruins. There were countless big goblin that could not move, as well as corpses. Su Fang immediately used his Tao artifact to suck in the heavily injured big goblin. Some of them were not seriously injured, but they did not dare to resist and were suppressed. After absorbing all of them, Su Fong began to organize the big goblin corpses. There were more than 3,000 big goblin corpses. He released his great perfection perception and kept the corpses of the tree demons, earth demons, and nature demons. The rest of the corpses were given to the injured big goblin to absorb and devour. After another round of looting, other than the brute force demon king and the 9-headed demon king, the rest of the big goblin were sucked into the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. The three of them quickly arrived at the edge of the demon cavern continent. After setting up a barrier, Su Fong took out the immortal blood essence pill and immortal fruits energy and gave them to Su Zhenhua, Li Haojie, the 9-headed demon king, and the brute force demon king. Everyone sat cross-legged at different points in the barrier and recovered. Although they had won this battle, they had all used up a lot of true qi and needed some time to recover. Su Fong also swallowed a drop of immortal blood and used his body to merge with a few immortal fruit. "Give me more big goblin corpses." After a while, the undying tortoise lazily sent a message. Su Fong had given it more than 100 big goblin corpses to cultivate. It should be able to enjoy it for a while. Su Fong asked with concern, "Undying tortoise, how is your body?" After the last baptism and devouring immortal fruits and immortal's energy, my body is much more flexible than before. However, it's still too difficult to control such a big body. The undying tortoise replied and stayed in the Tao artifact space, lying there motionlessly. Su Fong was in the midst of energy roaring. Then, he peeled off a young nascent soul and entered the Tao space. As soon as he stepped into the space, Su Fong saw countless heavily injured big goblin in a state of panic. When the big goblins saw Su Fong, they were shocked. However, Su Fong immediately threw out several aphrodisiac pills. After the big goblins swallowed the pills, they were shocked by the shocking power of the pills and began to recover on their own. Su Fong made a grabbing motion with his hand, and 2 Tao treasure seals appeared in front of him. On the left were dozens of black bloodstones, which were actually Wuling Goblin. On the right was naturally the heavenly demon Venerable. He was in a severely injured state and could not move. When he saw Su Fong, he might have wanted to use a killing move immediately. However, he was trapped in the Tao treasure world and could only be shackled. "Wuling Goblin, Empyrean Demon Sovereign, you've already fallen into my hands. I won't kill you. Instead, I'll give you large amounts of resources to help you recover. Now that the Tao item space has regained its freedom, we'll talk about it again. However, I still have to bind you." In an instant, Su Fong's overlord aura was released. It filled the entire immortal formation that the big goblin was in. Su Fong used the Tao treasure, the true demon blood plate, and the 9 yang true qi to form the shackle imprints and send them into the big goblin's body. Regardless of whether the big goblin was willing or not, they could only watch as the power of the shackles shackled their primordial spirits in their bodies. From now on, whenever Su Fong wanted to kill them, he would activate the imprints and unleash the killing divine might, instantly killing the big goblin's primordial spirit. Su Fong calmed down and looked at the Wuling Goblin. "Fuse with your physical body. If you really want to die, you can say it in front of me. You're an Earth-type big goblin, and I also have Earth-type abilities. I can't wait for you to die and then devour your Earth-type essence." With a flick of his finger, the immortal formation shackling the Wuling Goblin disappeared. The Wuling Goblin shattered into pieces of bloodstone. Its head was filled with anger, but it really didn't care about its life. In this world, there was no one who didn't care about their lives, unless it was those ignorant young children or those who were forced into a desperate situation. However, the Wuling Goblin was not immature, and Su Fong didn't really want to kill it. Why would it not care about its own life? The Wuling Goblin snorted and activated its demonic qi, releasing its instincts. The blood stone began to tremble and then surged toward its head. In terms of physical body, the Wuling Goblin is stronger than the Tongtian demon Venerable. However, in terms of overall strength, the Tongtian Demon Venerable is stronger. In addition to the 9-headed Demon King, with these 3 peerless big goblins, I have 6 experts like the Elders of Heaven and Earth in my hands. There are more than 10,000 big goblins suppressed here. In addition to the 5,000 big goblin from before, there are more than 20,000 small commanders. I made the right choice coming to the Immortal Melody world this time. Although there are less than 100,000 big goblin, there are more than 20,000 small commanders. There is also the Undying Tortoise, a heaven-defying giant demon. I can't even imagine how strong the magic power is. With my cultivation at the 9th level of catastrophe, I can't bear the power of more than 20,000 small commanders. Not to mention the 9th level of catastrophe, even a feather transformation realm cultivator would have a hard time supporting all the big goblins' magic power. My physical body isn't enough. Seeing the Wooling Goblin voluntarily fusing with its demon body, Su Feng's heart calmed down. He saw hope. The hope of fighting with any expert. Not to mention the feather transformation realm, even now, he could fight with any expert other than the Realm Lord. He had endless power and potential. With the magic power of more than 20,000 small commanders supporting his physical body, what kind of power was that? In the past, with more than 900 small commanders supporting him, his combat power had reached the peak. Now that it was 20 times more, what kind of concept was that? Sky-piercing demon venerable. Su Feng looked at the other big goblin. Don't be unconvinced. Maybe the Doichi can't do anything to you, but that doesn't mean others can't. If I really wanted to kill you, why would I fight with you again and again? My Starlight Sword kills without leaving a trace. If I really wanted to kill you, I could use the Starlight Sword to take your head in a few moves. I'm not saying this to ignore you, but to tell you that you're not my enemy. Although I'm your enemy, I'm only here to suppress you. In the future, follow me and dominate the world. Moreover, I'm already the Realm Lord of a small world. I'm currently gathering power and strengthening my foundation. You won't lose out by following me. You're a peerless king here. In the future, when I open up a small world, you'll still be a king. You'll even have the chance to become an immortal. Recuperate with the Wooling Goblin. I believe that with your own resources and my immortal strength, you'll recover quickly. I'll say one more thing. There's a saying in this world: those who follow me prosper, those who oppose me perish. If anyone dares to disobey me, I won't give them a second chance. Just like that, Su Feng coldly glanced at the sky-piercing venerable monster, then disappeared from the Tao artifact space. The sky-piercing venerable monster and the Wooling Goblin looked at each other. Suddenly, they were like pickled eggplant. They were surrounded by a Tao artifact space. Even if they were big goblins, how could they break a Tao artifact? His consciousness returned. It's okay this time. I only used up some true chi. I just broke through to the 9th layer of catastrophe. Now I need to increase my strength. Once I recover, I'll return to the primordial god world and settle down the human emperor world. Then, I'll merge with the human emperor world. I can't be threatened by the Xinyuan Empire. He continued cultivating. A year later, his true energy was restored, and his cultivation base was back in the 9th level of tribulation transcendence. He took out the corpse of a big goblin. It was a tree demon. Part of the tree demon's corpse was in the shape of a human body, while the other part was a tree with intertwined roots. The tree demon was dead, but the spirit pearl in its body was still there. Moreover, the wood essence in its body was permeated with the dragon-taming wood's left arm. It was the life energy that the dragon-taming wood absorbed. I didn't expect to meet an existence like the Wooling Goblin. The experts it brought were mostly natural monsters. There are many corpses, enough for me to cultivate. Gradually, he waved his left arm. The dragon-taming wood's power was almost perfectly integrated with his left arm. His 5 fingers grabbed 5 branches, and many roots grew out like the heavenly gourd spirit tree. Then, the 5 branches wrapped around the tree demon's corpse. A large number of roots pierced the surface of the corpse and drilled into it. The roots began to become crystal clear. This color was the life energy and Yao Qi. Step by step, it extended towards Su Eng's left arm. Soon, the power from the tree demon began to flow into his left arm. Suddenly, his left arm released a shocking green life energy. This energy then swept through his entire body. Even the black lotus blood threads in his body were wantonly absorbing this life energy. The black lotus true body seemed to be a body of flesh and blood, but in fact it was built on the wood attribute treasure, the black lotus. Therefore, the black lotus true body was also a type of wood attribute. This feels good. I've absorbed a lot of the heavenly gourd spirit tree's essence. I didn't expect that most of my left arm's transformations were like the heavenly gourd spirit tree's root. These tree demons can't compare to the heavenly gourd spirit tree. It has been more than 100 years since the heavenly gourd spirit tree destroyed Prince Shui. According to Prince Shui's ability, with the help of the mysterious Taoist gourd, he might start to absorb the heavenly gourd spirit tree in the heavenly gourd realm again. No, the heavenly gourd spirit tree is mine. It's not Taoist Heiyun or Prince Shui. Currently, my body's wood attribute power has taken up a very high proportion. But this is far from enough. Heavenly gourd spirit tree, I still have to find a way to get you. During the fusion process, Su Fang saw a shocking change in his body. After about a year, he had absorbed the tree demon into a dried corpse. Overall, he looked like a big tree that had died long ago. The tree demon had cultivated for so many years. Unfortunately, its life force had become Su Fang in the end. He took out a second tree demon corpse and continued to absorb. The speed of absorption was twice as fast as before because his strength was much stronger than before. This repeated for about 10 years. After absorbing the third tree demon corpse, Su Fang actually emitted a tribulation aura. He was going to undergo tribulation. Great. Su Fang left behind a sentence and went to another big forest. After some arrangements, the heavenly tribulation had already gathered. Su Fang began to soar into the sky, resisting the first heavenly tribulation with the formation. Kid, your 10 tribulation is very powerful, haha. The undying tortoise squatted on one side and couldn't wait to absorb the power of the heavenly tribulation. It's best if it's heavenly lightning, earthly fire. Heavenly lightning, earthly fire is a heavenly tribulation that only feather transformation realm cultivators face. I don't dare to recklessly attract such a great tribulation. He couldn't follow the undying tortoise's thoughts. When the first heavenly tribulation descended, Su Fang used his big hand to grab a part of the heavenly tribulation and threw it into the undying tortoise's mouth. It was really a heaven-defying monster, swallowing the heavenly tribulation in one gulp. Su Fang also forcefully shattered the first heavenly tribulation. The following heavenly tribulations, although the overall strength of the heavenly tribulation increased as he continued to strip the heavenly tribulation, it wasn't too difficult for someone like him to overcome. When it came to the last heavenly tribulation, the 10th tribulation, the heavenly lightning earthly fire occupied half of the entire heavenly tribulation. It was too terrifying. Since the undying tortoise needed this kind of heavenly tribulation, Su Fang stripped a third of the heavenly lightning earthly fire and threw it at the undying tortoise. Just as he stripped it, a large number of vortexes of flames appeared around the 10th tribulation. These vortexes of flames fused with the 10th tribulation, wanting to completely kill Su Fang. Such a height of heavenly tribulation was still around 5th feather transformation realm. But Su Fang was the 9th tribulation. Using Claw Prince, he shattered the descending heavenly tribulation in the air. Su Fang faced it cautiously, then looked at the undying tortoise in the distance. The undying tortoise had swallowed a lot of heavenly lightning earthly fire this time. Its entire body was also covered in tribulation light, as if it wanted to overturn its turtle shell. He originally thought that the undying tortoise would be in pain, but this old fellow looked like he was enjoying it. Chapter 745. All the calamities disappeared, leaving behind some holy light spiritual chi that fell from the sky. The undying tortoise came under the spiritual light and was cleansed by it with Su Fang. "Ha, this is great. Heavenly lightning and earthly fire are my delicacies. When you reach the Ascension realm, I'll need even stronger heavenly lightning to cleanse my marrow." Su Fang had no other choice. Fortunately, Li Haojie found some cultivation methods. Although they weren't completely suitable for the undying tortoise, they combined with the divine image jade annulus. The undying tortoise could cultivate, and the effects were at least 1,000 times better than its own. After devouring a large amount of resources, it reached the normal state of tribulation level 10 in about 2 years. He placed an Earth-type big goblin's corpse into his golden origin core to refine. Then, he absorbed the undying tortoise into the Tao artifact space and returned to the formation. After resting for half a year, the 3 people and 2 demons left the distant immortal melody world. They came to the Star River and used teleportation to leave the immortal melody world. They passed by the Tianfang world and the spiritual dust world. After almost 5 years, they finally passed by the immortal primordial world. Not long after, they passed by the primordial god world and finally arrived at the dust starfield. At the same time, a large number of wills came from the depths of the starfield. Naturally, it was Li Ziqing and Green Feather King. He had been gone for more than 20 years. Many of the Xinyuan Empire's army had entered the dust starfield and even set up a base camp. However, they still hadn't found the location of the Human Emperor world. Nothing had happened in the Human Emperor world since he left. Everyone was cultivating. Many big goblin and experts were undergoing their tribulations. Su Fang was eager to know the current situation of the Human Emperor world. He flew to the dust starfield with several experts. As Green Feather King and Li Ziqing said, there were about 300,000 soldiers. They had set up formations on the meteorites in the depths of the dust starfield. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers had set up hundreds of bases scattered in the dust starfield. Tens of thousands of soldiers were searching for the Human Emperor world. And there were also tens of thousands of Doichi's disciples assisting the Xinyuan Empire. Su Zhenhua activated his Tao artifact and controlled a cluster of nebula to hide them as they slowly floated above the dust star river. Su Fang asked, "Su Zhenhua, how many troops does the Xinyuan Empire have?" "1 million-strong army." Su Zhen said truthfully, "This is the army directly controlled by the Xinyuan Empire's royal family. In a small world, how many cultivators can be used by the Xinyuan Empire? At this time, there are only a few 100,000 soldiers. If the Xinyuan Empire appears in the human sovereign world, they will definitely send more experts. After all, Master, you killed the third prince and the left and right elders, especially the third prince. The third prince was groomed by the Xinyuan Empire as a world overlord. If I kill him, there will be endless trouble. Master, not only was the third prince heavily nurtured by the Xinyuan Empire, but he was also secretly protected by a flying immortal from the Xinyuan Empire in the Great World. Now that he has been killed by Master, the Xinyuan Empire will not let you off no matter what. Is that so? That's a bit of a threat." Hearing this, he couldn't help being startled. Killing the third prince wasn't easy, but it was too satisfying. It was a great help to Su Fang's cultivation. But such a character had died in his hands. Would the Xinyuan Empire let it go so easily? They gradually left Xinyuan. The Empire's experts arrived at the back of the dust star field, then flew out of the Star River and entered the nebula region. A group of experts immediately flew over. They were Green Feather King, Li Ziqing, Zhu Huang, 9-segment Earth Dragon, and some other experts. After not seeing each other for decades, everyone was very excited. After returning to the human sovereign world, Su Fang's ability to sense the entire human sovereign world was strengthened. Because he had broken through to the 10th level of catastrophe, his strength had increased. Naturally, he had merged with the human sovereign world. The first thing Su Fang did after returning was not to gather everyone and hold a gathering. Instead, he joined forces with Green Feather King, Li Ziqing, Su Zhenhua, and the others to strengthen the barrier of the human sovereign world. Back then, when he wasn't as strong as he was now, he had created the world barrier in a hurry. Now that everyone's strength had increased and they were in a good state, it was time to strengthen the barrier of the human sovereign world. After 5 years, the final barrier was several times stronger than before. Although it couldn't compare to other small worlds, it could still protect the world's energy and not be swallowed by the Star River's pressure. Then, he went to the depths of the human sovereign world. He continued to set up a grand formation in the cave that he had merged with, displaying the power of the earth element. Several experts joined forces, with Su Fang as the center. The world's realm lord was very different. Su Fang absorbed everyone's strength, urging the might of the human sovereign world. Seeing the land within 100 miles fusing, his will exploded. Mountains moved out of thin air, forming a city wall around him. In half a day, a perfect city appeared in the desolate land of the human sovereign world. Sensing the entire world after decades under the protection of the world barrier, some plants grew in the ruins. It seemed that it would take countless more years for the heavenly Tao to grow into a lush green world. Coming to the center of the city, he released more than 20,000 small commanders. Then, he gathered the other experts and Big Goblin. First, Grand Elder Hong Lian, Grand Elder Tsang Hao, Grand Elder He Zun, and the other experts appeared. In the center of the square, a golden palace sat. The experts followed Su Fang to the front and sat down. Li Ziqing looked at the countless experts and introduced, "None of the 20,000 slaves have left. Some of them haven't recovered their strength yet. Plus, there's a dust star river in front of us. These people will stay here for the time being. The other tens of thousands of Xinyuan Empire experts have completely submitted." Su Fang's attention was not on the experts, but on the people around him. He was shocked by Li Ziqing's current aura. "Senior's strength has increased greatly. A while ago I passed 2 calamity stage heavenly tribulation. After being shackled for so many years, I've finally reached 3 calamity stage heavenly tribulations." Li Ziqing sighed and looked at the experts around him. During this period, Grand Elder He Zun's breakthroughs have been very shocking. After becoming a supreme true demon, he went from 1 calamity stage heavenly tribulations to 2 calamity stage heavenly tribulations. Now, he has reached 3 calamity stage heavenly tribulations. He immediately looked at Grand Elder He Zun. It was indeed so. Grand Elder He Zun's body was covered in demonic patterns, and demonic aura burned in his eyes. When he saw Su Fang looking at him, Grand Elder He Zun immediately bowed in return. This Grand Elder of the Supreme God sect was originally a calamity stage heavenly tribulations expert. However, after being stuck for so many years, he obtained the most suitable power for him and became a true demon. With Su Fangda's resources, how could he not rapidly increase his strength? The others had also greatly increased their strength. Grand Elder Hong Lian went from 1 calamity stage heavenly tribulations to 2 calamity stage heavenly tribulations. Elder Qing Tong, Elder Zhang Feng, Elder Tsang Hao, Jin Chongkong, Elder Juedao, and Xuanzhen Nun all went from the feather transformation stage to the flying celestial stage, and had the strength of 1 calamity stage heavenly tribulations. Qin Yuanho had already broken through to 2 calamity stage heavenly tribulations, and Guangzhou Holy King had also reached the peak of one calamity stage heavenly tribulations. Soon, he would break through to two calamity stage heavenly tribulations. Other than these experts, there were also some top experts among the other experts. They either reached the peak of the feather transformation stage, or they went from the feather transformation stage to one calamity stage heavenly tribulations. Zhu Huang and the 9-section Earth Dragon's strength had more than doubled, and their combat power was estimated to have reached two calamity stage heavenly tribulations. If they used their Tao artifacts, they could definitely deal with peerless experts who had reached three calamity stage heavenly tribulations. Currently, the strongest people around Su Fang were Green Feather King, Li Ziqing, and Grand Elder Heizun, all of whom had reached three calamity stage heavenly tribulations. As for the experts who had not reached three calamity stage heavenly tribulations, there were quite a few of them. For example, the 9-headed Demon King, Wuling Goblin, Zhu Huang, 9-section Earth Dragon, and Su Zhenhua. Now, tens of thousands of experts gathered together with the Big Goblin. Su Fang distributed many high-quality royal-grade magic artifacts, and most of them exchanged for a new magic artifact. After gathering for a while, the Big Goblin and the experts below dispersed. Su Fang led dozens of people into the main hall. Everyone gathered together, but the brute force Demon King, the 9-headed Demon King, and the Wuling Goblin, the three new experts, were still not used to it. Su Fang, Li Ziqing, and Green Feather King were talking. "Senior, I'm almost out of aphrodisiac pills. I need to quickly cultivate alchemy experts and start alchemy in the human emperor world. The more aphrodisiac pills we have, the better the human emperor world will be able to deal with all kinds of problems in the future." Li Ziqing solemnly said, "All right, I'll go arrange it. First, I'll send an order to everyone to hand over their pill cauldrons and spirit items that can be used for alchemy. Right now, you don't have many pill cauldrons, and I'm afraid you don't have many spirit items either. To establish an empire's foundation, you'll need an astonishing amount of resources. I've collected some pill cauldrons recently, but I'm still lacking a lot. With so many capable people, there should be some alchemy cultivators as well. I'll have to trouble you, Senior." Su Fang took out a xianguang. There were a dozen pill cauldrons inside, all of which had been collected in the past 100 years. There were very few pill cauldrons, and most of them were offensive and defensive magic artifacts. Green Feather King then asked, "Kid, what do you plan on doing next?" The Xinyuan Empire is frantically searching for the human emperor world. With the nebula hiding, it'll be difficult for them to find it. Right now, my plan is to further integrate with the human emperor world. Then I'll go to the Spirit Mist world and the Jua Heaven world. I'll go to the Fertile Continent. I reckon there's no more yang energy there, and I won't be able to refine more yang strengthening pills. In the face of Green Feather King's concern, Su Fang pondered for a moment before saying, "If I go to the Jua Heaven world, I'll refine the heavenly gourd spirit tree and try to break through to the wing transformation realm. Once I break through, I'll return to the human emperor world and further integrate with the human emperor world. Then I'll plan on whether to deal with the primordial god world or the Jua Heaven world first. I'll take over a few minor worlds, especially the primordial god world. On one hand, we'll strengthen the foundation of the human emperor world. On the other hand, it's good to increase our strength. All of this is to protect and integrate with the human emperor world. Indeed, we need to get rid of the Xinyuan Empire. Otherwise, with our strength, if the Xinyuan Empire comes looking for us, we won't be able to hold on for long if they send more troops. Sect leader seems to have heard that there will be immortals descending from the Doichi world. If this news is true, then you don't have much time left. You have to break through to the wing transformation realm as soon as possible. The 10th layer of catastrophe realm isn't enough. Even the first layer of wing transformation realm isn't enough. you have to reach the high layer of wing transformation realm. With this cultivation and your ability, you'll definitely be able to seize the Xinyuan Empire. Now that all the experts were gathered here, on the surface, it gave people the feeling that Su Fang had a strong foundation and a powerful force. However, in front of the Xinyuan Empire, they were still weak. They only had a certain level of threat, but they couldn't threaten the Xinyuan Empire at all. On the contrary, the Xinyuan Empire could threaten the human emperor world at all times. Green Feather King was secretly gratified because Su Fang was already a powerhouse overseeing a region. He controlled the present and the future. Sooner or later, he would become a supreme world lord. Green Feather King patted Su Fang's shoulder. I believe that we're just a small stream now, not a vast ocean. However, with our efforts, we'll eventually become a vast ocean full of life. There's no time to lose. Looks like I have to integrate with the human emperor world as soon as possible. I'll immediately rush to the Zhuotian world and Lingmeng world to increase my strength. I plan to move the heavenly gourd spirit tree to the human emperor world as the source of life and the source of the world. After the gathering, everyone dispersed. Su Fang also immediately entered the Earth's core. Chapter 746. Deep in the Earth's core, in a world's origin. Su Fang sat down cross-legged and activated the human sovereign's inheritance. Soon, the origin of the Earth's core was scattered all over the human sovereign world, releasing a shocking aura of origin. Looking at the entire human sovereign world from the Earth's core, the interior was in the shape of a boiling origin world, and Su Fang was at the center of all the energy. Su Fang stripped a lot of blood essence from his body. Drops of blood essence dripped into the origin vitality stones, origin essences, and all kinds of spiritual objects in the energy space. It was said that the body of a supreme almighty could turn into a world. Although it was only a legend, when a human became a realm lord and merged with a planet, they used their own blood to gradually merge with the world's matter. During this time, Su Fang was also ferociously devouring immortal fruits, immortal blood essence, and the big goblin's corpse. However, because he had to merge with the human sovereign world, the increase in strength was not shocking. Most of the increased strength was used on the merging with the human sovereign world. Fortunately, the merging step by step deepened his perception and control of the human sovereign world. Almost 10 years had passed. No, this merging speed is still too slow. Instead of this, it's better to cultivate to the ascension realm and merge with the human sovereign world with the strongest strength in the future. The weaker my strength, the slower the merging speed, which is a waste of energy. When my cultivation reaches the peak, the merging speed will be 10,000 times faster. Su Fang decisively opened his eyes, stopped cultivating, and immediately left the Earth's core space. After almost 10 years of cultivation, his strength did not increase much. Although there were gains from merging with the human sovereign world, if this continued, there would not be much change even after 1,000 years. Arriving at the city, Su Fang met up with Li Ziqing. They came to a barrier. Inside were palaces built by Li Ziqing. Thousands of cultivators, mainly in the catastrophe realm, were preparing to refine pills. There were more than 1,000 alchemy cauldrons, all of them high grade. Only a few of them were king grade. Some of the thousands of cultivators had already begun to try refining pills. Most of them were practicing. It would probably take another 10 years before they could start refining pills in large quantities. After coming out, he immediately gathered all the junior commanders. More than 20,000 junior commanders flew over, and Su Fang absorbed them into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Zhu Huang, Nine-Dragon, Nine-Headed Demon King, Brute Demon King, Wooling Goblin, and Piercing Sky Demon Lord also came to the pagoda and began cultivating. As soon as the 20,000-plus junior commanders returned to the Xianhuang Six Daos Pagoda, Su Fang's aura underwent a huge change. It was too strong, but Su Fang quickly adapted to it and suppressed it within his body. Realm Lord Lord, Lord Realm Demon King, Lord Demon, Demon Lord, the Demon 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 Translation Demon Demon Lord Realm Realm Translation Translation Demon Translation 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 Demon Demon Translation Demon Demon Translation. Su Fang had always been respectful towards these two experts. I still have to be careful of 7-Star Child. Immortals are too powerful. Although I'm strong, I'm still too weak. There are some abilities that I can't use to their fullest potential. I'll have to trouble the 2 seniors in the human emperor world. Don't worry. If there is any movement in the Xinyuan Empire, this king will be the first to inform you. If something big happens, we will think of a way to move the Renhuang realm to a more complicated galaxy. Why don't you bring more experts with you? I only brought exalted cultivator Yuezhen. Let them stay here. It's better for me to act alone. Junior will take his leave. After Su Fang saluted, it transformed into a streak of light. The starlight disappeared. Li Ziqing was startled. Pring King, how powerful do you think this brat will be the next time he comes back? In my opinion, once he reaches the feather transformation realm, he will be a completely different person. The more I can't see through this brat, the more I can't see through him. Fortunately, he's a great perfection realm cultivator, and he doesn't have a golden core to become a voidust realm cultivator. With all these factors added together, no one can predict his future. Let's wait and see. We also have to deal with the Xinyuan Empire. The 2 experts turned and returned to the city. Soon, Guangzhou Holy King and Qin Yuanhou brought some experts to the human emperor world. They used the sensing array left behind by Su Fang to sense the movements of the entire small world. Asterisk, 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 small worlds floated in the vast galaxy. All kinds of galaxy matter would go berserk with the galaxy's power from time to time, making it impossible for living beings to survive in the starry sky. Some of the shuttle star marks formed by the shuttle door were left in the galaxy. There were also some heavenly ships that carefully avoided the various galaxies' power, especially the galaxy storms. They were also afraid of getting lost in the nebula. After more than 100 years, I, Su Fang, am back. A figure was teleporting in the galaxy, constantly riding the cold starlight and approaching the Lingmeng realm. Wu Tan realm. Su Fang looked at one side of the galaxy and saw a familiar small world. 7-Star Child is there, and so is the Green Lotus Sword sect. If possible, I want to obtain this small world as well. Looking at the Lingmeng realm, he missed his father and his clansmen. He activated a rune talisman, and half a day later, he arrived at the periphery of the Lingmeng realm. When he first arrived, with his current sensing ability, he found many experts with origin auras scattered around the world's barrier. Not long after, Yu Yingying flew out of the barrier under the escort of several experts. When she saw Su Fang, she was full of resentment and scolded him without holding back. Are you only coming back now to see a joke or to watch a show? Su Fang was shocked. After a while, he asked, What happened, young miss? I don't know anything. I just came back from a faraway galaxy. You really don't care. Yu Yingying was still very angry. Do you know that 7-Star Child, the immortal you offended decades ago, came to my Lingmeng realm again? Su Fang was furious. So something really happened. No wonder so many experts are hiding 7-Star Child in the depths of the barrier. This person is really haunting. Do you think that an immortal like him will let you go for nothing? Yu Yingying's eyebrows were cold. I thought that he would not cause trouble, but when you escaped from the Xianzhou Gate for the second time, there were already undercurrents in this galaxy. Maybe you don't know, but the news of you coming out of the Xianzhou Gate alive quickly spread from the Zhuotian realm to more than a dozen small worlds nearby, and even more distant forces. Many forces want to capture you and obtain the Xianjia Gate through you. 7-star child came to cause trouble in the Lingmeng realm to capture me. Hearing this, Su Fang was not surprised. Although Master Heiyun would seal the entire extraterritorial islands, there would still be people who would escape. Especially when they joined forces to break the barrier and fight with Master Heiyun and the other experts, those experts would definitely seize the opportunity to escape the extraterritorial island. Then, everything that happened in the Xianjia Gate would spread. Everyone knew that there was a person who entered and exited the Xianjia Gate twice. Because the Xianjia Gate had long become a peerless Tao artifact in this galaxy, everyone knew about it and wanted to obtain it. Back then, it had caused a storm of blood. Yu Yingying's resentment had an additional trace of hatred. She seemed to have a lot of resentment towards Su Fang. 7-star child naturally came for you. He thinks that the best place for you to hide is the Lingmeng realm. He even said that he would hand you over, or else he would attack the Lingmeng realm the next time he comes. Just one 7-star child? Didn't he experience the power of the 6th Lord last time? He's an immortal. Does he really want to fight to the death with me, a mortal, to make him pay such a price? Su Fang did not understand, but he felt that 7-star child was not such a rash person. If he was not confident, why would he rush into the Lingmeng realm? You're wrong. He's not alone. Plus, you've caused the Xianjia Gate, which has been immersed in the lower realms for over 200,000 years, once again stirred up the nerves of countless people, causing these immortals to come down. I'm afraid that from now on, your troubles will never end. Are there a lot of immortals coming down to the Zhuotian realm? Sigh, how did things come to this point? A Tao artifact can cause such a huge commotion. I'm afraid it's not just these few immortals. After all, the cultivation forces in these small worlds will maintain contact with the immortals in the upper realms. Although it's not easy for immortals to come down, through some methods or currying favor with the immortals in the large worlds, they can still come down. Moreover, my master said that a powerful Tao artifact in the large worlds can cause immortals to kill each other. Good magic treasures can only be obtained by chance. Now that there's a peerless Tao artifact in the small worlds where mortals live, wouldn't the immortals in the large worlds be able to easily obtain it? After Yu Yingying finished speaking, she glanced at Su Fang from the corner of her eyes and saw that he had fallen into a state of silence. She shook her head again. You better not come to the spirit mist realm in the future. Once those immortals find your traces, I can guarantee that they will make a move on the spirit mist realm. As for your family, I'll say the same thing again. With me here, nothing will happen to them. As he gradually approached the Zhuotian realm, he suddenly discovered that the seal of the world had already solidified. The seal was sealed from the inside, and only the shuttle door could be opened to enter and exit the Zhuotian realm. If a cultivator wanted to enter the Zhuotian realm, it would depend on how strong they were. All of this confirmed what Yu Yingying had said. Fortunately, Su Fang had a large amount of the Zhuotian realm's essence in his body. Using the ethereal true insight, he instantly flew through the barrier and returned to the Zhuotian realm. Being in the sky of the Zhuotian realm, the sense of familiarity was greater than the Runhuang realm that Su Fang had merged with. After all, this was the place where he grew up. As a precaution, I should change my appearance and hide my aura. I should use the monarch chi to enter my meridians. He didn't know how many people were looking for him at this time. After half an incense stick's time, Su Fang activated the bone-changing technique and the monarch chi. With the support of the monarch chi, his aura and appearance were completely different. I don't know what the situation is with the Xianjia Gate. I can't enter it again just because I'm curious. When I left last time, I also completely gave up on the Xianjia Gate. This treasure has its own spirituality. Since it doesn't recognize me, why should I force it? He still flew towards the heavenly gourd realm. As for the outer realm islands, he also wanted to see what kind of scene it was. Su Fang didn't activate the instant space ring, nor did he activate much of the Zhuotian realm's power. He was like an ordinary cultivator approaching the heavenly gourd realm. The closer he got to the water, the closer the spiritual qi from the heavenly gourd spirit tree, under the great perfection's sensing ability, not only surged out from the heavenly gourd realm, but also faintly seeped out from the depths of the sky. The heavenly gourd spirit tree was indeed tightly fused with the Zhuotian realm. When he arrived above the heavenly gourd realm, Su Fang didn't sense Prince Shui's aura. With his current sensing ability, he could see the entire continent. How many cultivators were there, where they were hiding, and what kind of special spiritual qi there was? Nothing could escape his sensing ability. He thought that Prince Shui had returned here to fuse with the heavenly gourd spirit tree, but he was wrong. There wasn't a single disciple of the celestial sealing sect here. When he flashed to the top of the heavenly gourd spirit tree, he saw a large amount of ruins left behind from the previous battle. When he fought with Prince Shui, the great Emperor Dipper, and the Heart Elephant, many places had become ruins because of it. However, this didn't affect the spiritual qi of the heavenly gourd spirit tree. Its aura was still tightly fused with the continent and heaven and earth. Yu said, I think the one who activated the divine might of the Tao artifact was not this old man, but the power of an immortal. However, that immortal does not seem to be here. This old man used the immortal's power and displayed an unparalleled speed. Master, should we escape first? No, I want to see if this old man is here for the heavenly gourd spirit tree. Anyway, I'm also here for the spiritual treasure. This kind of treasure cannot fall into the hands of outsiders. If this old man really wants to seize the heavenly gourd spirit tree, then the guardian of this spirit tree will also come out. Master, the heavenly gourd spirit tree has not been seized for so many years. I think there really is a guardian in the dark who will come out halfway when an expert wants to seize the spirit tree. All the more reason to stay and take a look. If there really is trouble, it will be the old man who will deal with it. I will just be a small fry for now. Su Fang laughed in disdain. He wanted to figure out where this force came from first, then see what the old man's goal was. Everyone waited for a while. That old man was probably sensing something. About 2 hours later, the old man brought over 200 experts and approached the core of the heavenly gourd spirit tree. I need to make use of this time to control the poison that the old man injected into my body. Su Fang had already secretly activated his yin and yang power. He also took out 3 goo worms to absorb the poison's power in his body. Actually, he had an even faster method, which was to let the blood ghost true demon take action. However, its aura was too evil. He could not perfectly control it. He had to rely on himself to control the poison first. Soon, the old man used a great divine ability and ordered the 200 people to form seals with him. Suddenly, with the support of Zhuotian realm's world power, everyone's speed increased. They also entered the rock layer and soon arrived at the core of the earth, moving along the heavenly gourd spirit tree. At this time, Su Fang had also controlled the poison and sealed it in his chest. Just as he released his senses, he was shocked. They came to the core of the tree and slowed down. Su Fang sensed that this should be the true origin of the heavenly gourd spirit tree. Everyone sighed. The heavenly gourd spirit tree in front of them was almost translucent and sparkling, its life energy was obvious. The old man's methods are too powerful. In the past, so many people could not find this place. I came this time to find the true origin of the heavenly gourd spirit tree. To think that the old man would save me time. He secretly smiled proudly, remaining silent like a puppet. Everyone followed the old man into the center of the tree. The roots of the heavenly gourd spirit tree were several kilometers in diameter. At the center, a primeval stone spirit vein of Zhuotian realm appeared in front of everyone. The old man laughed. So it's true, it's true. No one behind him understood. Su Fang used his perfected ability, and suddenly saw through the layers of spirit light. At the center of the primeval stone spirit vein, there were actually countless tree roots wrapped around it. Furthermore, they had already merged with the primeval stone spirit vein. Not only that, there were also layers of seals that sealed the tree roots and the primeval stone spirit vein. It was as if they were frozen in the core of the earth. That seal can control the heavenly gourd spirit tree and the primeval stone spirit vein. Only a realm lord can do that. The seal's aura is so ancient. It should be as ancient as the undying tortoise. Su Fang suddenly understood in his heart and laughed. So this heavenly gourd spirit tree did not naturally grow in this Zhuotian realm, but was planted here by a certain expert of the Zhuotian realm. Countless years later, it grew into a towering tree and fused with the Zhuotian realm's origin. Wait here. Don't make any noise. Otherwise, the sovereigns will take your heads. At this moment, more than 20 figures flew out toward the old man. One of the experts at the back shouted coldly at the crowd before flying towards the old man. Su Fang was calm. I reckon that the old man is most likely here for the heavenly gourd spirit tree. Just nice, I can use my perfected ability to hear his purpose here. He and the surrounding experts retracted their auras. No one dared to make a sound. As for Su Fang, he seemed to be waiting obediently, but he had already used his perfected ability and followed the last expert to approach the old man surrounded by more than 20 experts. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.